The Mid-Illini Conference title each of the last 4 years has run through one of two towns, Washington and Pekin. Tonight here as we kick off week 4, those two squads will face off here in a big-time Mid-Illini clash at Babcock Field in Washington. Pekin comes in off of 2 straight close losses. Washington looking for a big performance in front of an always large home crowd here at home. Good evening, everyone. Jonathan Michael here alongside with Gavin Russell in the booth. And Gavin, tonight's game is going to be an absolute slobber knocker, to put it lightly.
Well, that's an adjective I don't use too often, but the only appropriate way to describe this game, both of these cities love their football so much. When they get together, you know you're going to get a hard-nosed football game. I know we talked about that on our WMBD pregame show earlier at 5:30, so this is just going to be a great matchup.
Most definitely. Two teams that are always very strong. They have great fan bases. We're expecting a lot of fans here. It's Honor Our Heroes night for the military at Washington, so a big night for that. Cars parked all the way here at 4:30 even. But, Gavin, going into this one, again, we said these are two teams that are habitually near the top of the Mid-Illini Conference. Sometimes this matchup doesn't get enough credit because it's in week 4 and not week 8 or week 9.
Yeah, I don't think it's talked about enough. You know, each of the last 4, 5, even 6 years, this matchup between Pekin and Washington has been one of the tightest contested. You know, you love your big rivalries like Washington and Metamora, but Washington has kind of dominated that series. But this series has been kind of going back and forth. Washington has gotten the last couple, but Pekin has put up a fight. They've beat Washington in the last couple of years as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And I think both teams are kind of playing with a little bit of an edge tonight.
Most definitely. Pekin was actually the last Mid-Illini team to beat Washington. That came about 3 years ago. Washington has won 20 straight Mid-Illini contests, trying to keep that streak going up to 21 here tonight. Gavin, again, we saw them against Metamora last week. It's kind of the same story for them, right? They start off maybe looking a bit slow, but boy, once the Mid-Illini season starts, they really kick it into second gear.
Yeah, it's almost knocking the rust off a little bit, you know, kind of getting themselves mentally locked in. But once they find that stride, they just get going. So kind of an opposite storyline here. Pekin with a faster start, then kind of slowed down a little bit the last couple weeks, but again, playing great teams. Definitely a lot of lessons learned over the first 3 weeks. And as we kind of head to the midway point of the season, this is where you got to start playing your best football.
Most certainly. And there's also some things we're keeping an eye on tonight. Gavin, it's 2 wide receivers. Will we see Dylan Anderson for Pekin or A.J. Jones for Washington?
Yeah, we're going to see if they play tonight. Obviously, they've had some undisclosed things going on, haven't really been on the field so far for either side. 2 dynamic players that come out and really change the game. So either one of them is missing. That could mean a lot to either one of these teams.
We'll also keep an eye on the running backs, Ty Jackson, Will Freeman, 2 great ones going at it tonight. We'll be right back after this. We caught up with both coaches before this one. We'll be right back on CIProud.com.
Respond and finish. That's the big thing you know, we left some plays out there Friday night, and we got to respond and make sure that we're finishing plays out there Friday night and giving that maximum effort. You know, we had some great effort plays last Friday. We need to continue to give those that maximum effort and finish plays. You know, the thing about it is it should hurt because it matters. It's important to our guys, so it matters. It hurt, but you know they came back bigger than ever during practice this week. You know, Monday they came hungry and excited about the opportunity at hand here. You know, we finished first or second 3 out of the last 4 years. We have high expectations. These guys have high expectations, and they know what needs to be done to respond.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes you can get a little too emotional going into a game like that, a big game like that, and I thought our guys were pretty well composed. You know, sometimes early jitters, you know, result in penalties and some big mistakes, and we didn't seem like we had that. I'm not saying that that's going to be the way it is. We always hope for that, but definitely a great team win. Everybody contributed. You know, I felt like our scout team won that game for us in practice from Monday through Thursday. You know, I think we became more connected, and I told them that today. You know, not that we were fragmented in the beginning, but you know, sometimes when you do have a junior class moving into the senior class, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to gel, and I think that we hit that point over the last week. Yeah, they're always tough. I mean, our mindset, you know, has got to be the same as it was last week. I mean, we're going to play a really, really good football team with a lot of capabilities. They got great skill players. They got some linemen that are big dudes and can move some guys up front, and they always play well on defense, come downhill and make tackles. So this is going to be a challenge for us for sure.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime.
After 4 years of Preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams,
Your stories.
Your stats and standings.
your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts.
As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds.
CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action.
More stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
Welcome into Washington. Week 4 of high school football action about to get underway here between the Pekin Dragons and the Washington Panthers. We'll take a quick moment of silence as honor our heroes night.
Thank you.
And a moment of silence there to kick things off, and that is because of, again, a tragedy that unfortunately took the life of a Pekin high schooler earlier this week. A 16-year-old student unfortunately passed away in an automobile accident, so a classy gesture there from Washington. The hosts here tonight to our visitors, but Jonathan Michael here and Gavin Russell in the booth with you. And Gavin, we are just moments away, a few minutes away here from kickoff, but the stands are filled here at Babcock, and I don't think we expected much less.
No, I mean, you didn't really need any other reason to come out. As you mentioned, it's Heroes Night, honoring first responders, and, you know, it's always a great matchup when these two sides come together. Some people making over about a 20, 30-minute trip from Pekin. Those stands are continuing to fill in. They're parking way out in the football practice field across the way, so looking forward to a really good one tonight.
And take a look at our weather there tonight, Gavin. It is still pretty a warm night for mid-September, about 79 or so at kickoff. There is a small chance of some stray showers we may see later, so we'll keep an eye on that. It's been overall pretty good weather last few weeks here in Central Illinois, and hopefully we can keep the rain away tonight.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about the weather. I mean, again, past years it's already really chilly by this point, already putting the jacket on, but we're chilling in shorts and T-shirt, our polo shirts here tonight. Beautiful weather for a great game.
And we're talking about the conditions. Again, Washington obviously has their artificial turf. Pekin, one of the only schools in the Mid-Illini that still has a natural grass field, so a little bit of an adjustment for them. But again, I'm sure they're well accustomed to it. And Gavin, just a little bit talking about last week, we saw both of these teams. We saw Pekin and Washington. Take a look at what Pekin's game against Dunlap was like. That was a 28-27 loss for them in overtime. But Brogan Benassi, Ty Jackson both had 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, it's crazy to say, but Pekin probably was a bit of an underdog in that game. You know, the Dragons have been so good for the last few seasons, but Dunlap coming in as one of the Mid-Illini favorites this year, so they gave them everything they could handle. They pushed it up right to the last play on a winning kick. The extra point there by Dunlap. Again, just a great game played by both teams.
You see there the hook and ladder play from Ty Jackson that put Pekin ahead in overtime, but they lost because of a missed extra point. Now we look at Washington. We saw them last week, Gavin, against Metamora, and it was pretty much straight domination on both sides of the ball. Here we saw an interception and a touchdown catch from Owen Klein, but also, too, the Panthers just were really tough, both on the ground offensively and defensively.
Yeah, they forced a lot of turnovers too. They had a couple of players step up that maybe you wouldn't always expect to step up. Washington has a very deep roster, and really can any given night, any guy is able to step in and do something big.
See a big run there for Kamar Mack. Speaking of big runs, Washington taking a big run out onto the field now as we take again a look at last week at the score by quarters there. Washington now 2-1. Pekin now 1-2 on the year, but how about this? The Washington Panthers, as we see them out on the field now, in their orange jerseys, they were just on the field a few moments ago in camo jerseys for Honor Our Heroes tonight, so a quick little switcheroo in the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, they got the jersey game going on, and gotta love the orange. Orange is a great color. Maybe some Illini fans out there ready for some football tomorrow, but we got the orange and black here tonight for Washington. Of course, that great red and white combination on the other side for the Pekin Dragons.
Most definitely, again, just about 5 minutes or so away from kickoff. Real quick, want to mention again, Clutch Sports Media Overtime, the home of all of our written content, weekly power rankings, pick'ems for football, nightly roundups of all the scores for every area school, every area sport, every single night, plus news, feature stories, plenty of things on there as well. Again, subscribe today at clutchsportsisle.com/overtime, or you can scan the QR code there on your screen. Again, just $8.49 a month. Also have an annual plan, save a few dollars as well. But again, as we kind of get ready to go here, we'll take a quick break here from Babcock Field. Come right back with pregame coverage and kickoff in our WMBD Game of the Week.
Trade up to a brighter future. Trade up to a job you enjoy. Trade up to trade school. At Midwest Technical Institute, you get the skills you need to start a healthcare career that moves you up in life, towards your goals, your passions, and your dreams. Choose from healthcare programs including medical and dental assisting, medical coding, phlebotomy, and more. Earn the experience, knowledge, and confidence to change your life. Trade school is just the beginning. Start your journey today at midwesttech.edu.
Happy birthday from Alexander Steakhouse. Come celebrate your birthday with us and you'll get a free dessert and up to a $20 credit on your meal. For details or reservations, call Alexander Steakhouse in Peoria or Normal.
At Alexander Steakhouse, we're more than steaks, we're entertainment. Pick one of our hand-cut steaks, cook over the open grill, or have us prepare it for you. Steaks, seafood, chicken, and Central Illinois' best salad bar. Alexander Steakhouse, where the best cook is you.
Welcome back here to Washington. Both teams getting introduced with their starting lineups right now. Again, Gavin Russell, Jonathan Michael here in the booth with you. Gavin, taking a look at a bit of what both teams, again, have done so far. The tail of the tape, Washington, their offense coming into tonight hasn't been particularly outstanding, but their defense has gotten the job done. The Panthers have won some low-scoring games.
Yeah, by far, Washington is solidifying themselves as the best defense in Central Illinois. Now, the offense still yet to fully come around yet, but they're showing signs. They move the ball. They grind out long drives. They're really good at what they do, John.
They really are, and again, looking at the Mid-Illini standings right now, Gavin, it's a three-way tie up top. It's Dunlap, Morton, East Peoria all at 3-0 right now. You see Washington right there in the middle. Pekin looking to get a big win and get out of 6th place currently, but it's still, again, very early on in the season.
Yeah, we can't really take anything for sure until we get to about week 8, honestly even week 9 sometimes, depending on how the schedule shakes out. East Peoria yet to prove themselves in some games. Dunlap, of course, Morton in the mix as well. And Pekin, a big chance to get right back up in the standings with a win tonight.
Also look at the Class 6A poll as well. Washington, a state-ranked team coming in tonight. They're number 8. First time they're in the top 10 this year. Pekin, they still received votes even after last week's loss, so both those teams still receiving some love from the voters across the state. Gavin, let's take a look at our key players for tonight. For Pekin, we're looking at quarterback and returning starter, all-conference returning starter, Brogan Benassi.
Yeah, the Benassi family, they've been around for quite a while. Last week, didn't have his best game passing the ball, 8 of 19, 60 yards, but he got it done with his legs. He was able to score a couple touchdowns as well. He's a dynamic player. I fully expect to bounce back, and he can really air it out. He can beat Washington in the air game.
And for Washington, their key player we're looking at tonight as the Panthers take the field is Owen Klein. We talked about him briefly earlier, a wide receiver, a defensive back. He was a big impact player last week.
Yeah, he was able to catch a touchdown as well as come up with an interception. He is really able to get it done. He's a two-way player, one of the better two-way players on this Panthers squad. He's going to need to have a big game, especially defending the passes from Benassi.
As we're getting set now for kickoff, two Mid-Illini Powers ready to face off. It'll be Pekin to receive this kick. So, Gavin, we will see Benassi and company to start this one. And again, key storyline coming in tonight is, would we see Dylan Anderson? Their all-conference, all-area speedster of a wide receiver has been out with an injury. We'll see if he's suited up tonight, Gavin. We'll see when they come out on the field. But again, if there is no Anderson, could be a interesting approach here for the Dragons. Devin Miller ready to kick it away for Washington and one of his biggest legs in Central Illinois. We're ready to go. It's Ty Jackson going to bring in this kick, and he muffs it at the 2, picks it back up. Great coverage from Washington. They bring him down. No, he's still going. Jackson going to be tackled at the 5. A special teams error costly early on.
Yeah, just probably got it caught in the lights a little bit. Didn't get it cleanly, and it cost them a few yards. The good news for them, they're not totally backed up on the goal line. A little breathing room there for Benassi and company, but got to look out for that running back, Ty Jackson. He's going to be a name we call quite a bit tonight, among many others. And even if they don't have Dylan Anderson, plenty of other receivers, some senior receivers that they can go to.
Certainly one of those is Bobby Martin, a senior. They have a couple others, Bray Cormer, Noah Perfetti. No Anderson on the field here to start. It's Korma at the bottom of your screen and Martin up top. Benassi in the shotgun with Ty Jackson in the backfield. There's a man in motion. They'll hand off to Jackson. He was busy last week and picks up about 2 or so on that first down carry.
Yeah, Doug Nutter was telling us about his burst of speed, and he does that so incredibly well. He's able to just burst up through the hole on the right side and able to grind out a couple of yards. I think Pekin is just going to need to grind out these drives, chew off a little bit at a time.
Here's a 2nd and 7. They'll hand off to Jackson again. It runs up the middle. First down for Pekin, and perhaps atoning for his mistake there. Gets him across the 20. Gavin, take a look at our keys to the game for Pekin. It's show your work and create turnovers. Show your work, meaning, again, they put such a big emphasis on practice. Doug Nutter says that wins are made Mondays through Thursdays.
Yeah, you really got to do that. They also have to finish. You know, that's something that Doug Nutter was really emphasizing. And then you see the keys there for Washington as we get a first down run. Short yardage, but keys for Washington, you know, got to bottle it up, right? You got to win the trenches there. You got to be able to bottle up Ty Jackson, who can run all over the field, and then win the third phase. You know, you got to be able to play a complete game, right? That's something that Washington has kind of slowly inculcated. So get to that third phase, really get to that next level. That is a big key for the Panthers.
Yeah, special teams, that third phase for Washington, something they've really been focusing on a lot. Dragons run into their own man. I think that was Jackson. And the tackle in the backfield made by their defensive end, Joe Smith. It's going to be a 3rd and long for Pekin.
Got a bit of an assist there. The offensive lineman, I didn't see which number it was, but one of the linemen from the Dragons kind of took out Ty Jackson by mistake, stumbled backwards and slowed up his forward progress. So early 3rd and long, see what Pekin can do.
2 wide receivers here for Benassi, plus a fullback blocking. That's Travion House. Benassi in some trouble, just has to get rid of it. Nearski throw, and it's dropped by Caden Ricky. He perhaps maybe had his eyes fixated on that sweet, glorious end zone and just maybe got a bit too ahead of himself there. Pekin will punt.
Yeah, all fairness to Ricky there, that was a wobbler. Probably not the cleanest ball to catch, so tough one there, but Dragons catch a break as we'll get our first punt of the ball game.
So Washington forces a quick 3 and out. Airman back at the 42 to return. Just under 10 minutes to go from Washington. It's a slow snap, but it gets back there and a nice kick. And is brought in at the 45, return across midfield. Still going, that's 30. Gabe Emmendorfer picking up a nice couple there for Washington. Flag on the play, Gavin. We'll see what that's about. Usually it's a block in the back or a hold on a punt return like that.
Typically is. No signal yet from the officials. But either way, it should be decent starting field position for the Panthers.
It is a face mask on Pekin, so that will only help Washington's cause. So again, Gavin, this is a team that you're facing, a tough Mid-Illini team, that's won 20 in a row on the road, feeling good after a good win, and you got good field position. So Pekin's defense really going to have to bear down here and prevent Washington from scoring on their first drive and getting that confidence underneath themselves.
Yeah, 37 yards to go here. This ball's probably going to go to Will Freeman. They want to set the tone. He set the tone a few times early in the game.
Run up the middle there, gains a couple. Todd Stevens, Washington's head coach, you get a look at him. 10-4 so far in his second season. Obviously succeeded Darryl Crouch, the longtime legend. Stevens and the Panthers beat Pekin last year, and Gavin, I think he's pretty confident with his team right now after last week.
Yeah, he loves what's going on, but he's been here for a lot longer than just 2 seasons. He's been here for over 20 years as the defensive coordinator. He knows this matchup inside now.
Here's going to be a toss to Will Freeman. We're going to call his name a lot tonight. Freeman busting to the outside. He's going to be brought down by Bobby Martin, the senior safety, but it looks like from our angle, Gavin, he just got enough to get there.
Yeah, they're lucky Martin was able to get over there, really the only guy tracking, and that was a big emphasis for Doug Nutter, is gang tackling, getting a lot of white jerseys over to Will Freeman or whoever is carrying the ball. They're not going to be able to bring him down with just one guy. It's going to take a collective 11-guy effort.
So Washington driving here on the doorstep of the red zone. 1st and 10 from the 26. There'll be 2 wide receivers, and lo and behold, Gavin, A.J. Jones at the bottom of your screen. Has not had a catch this year. We are not even certain if he's played all year, but here's Garcia looking his way. He brings it in, and it's a touchdown. First catch of the season. A.J. Jones goes 26 yards, and Uno is back for the Panthers.
It's weird to call him a secret weapon, but honestly, that's a little bit what it is. Hasn't seen him so far this year. Either he hasn't played or they haven't utilized him at all. That's a big time for your first catch, is early on in this game, Washington setting the tone.
Another good throw there from Garcia on that post route. And Jones, such a dynamic weapon for this Washington team, and they are glad to have him back. As a whole nother element, as Miller's point after is through at 7-0 Washington. Now, Gavin, we saw this kind of happen last week. Washington felt good early. They were rolling. Pekin has got to find a way to respond before things can start to snowball when you face the Panthers.
Yeah, the good news is for Pekin, though, they faced this exact same situation last week. They got into a back-and-forth battle with Dunlap, who, again, is very dynamic, who passes the ball quite a bit. And they were able to lock in, shorten things up a little bit, and it worked out for them in the long run. For most of that game, just didn't come away with the victory. But I think Pekin's in a good position to respond. Doug Nutter's going to kick himself on that last play call. The defense was pressed way too up towards the line of scrimmage, didn't have any safeties back. A.J. Jones is going to beat that every time, so I'm assuming they'll adjust their game plan and try to cover the passing game a little more going forward.
And Washington has such that reputation as being a running team, but when they do pass, usually good things do happen. They have A.J. Jones, James Johnson, and again, Todd Stevens has told us many times that we want to pass when we want to pass. We don't want to be forced to pass, and Washington felt good to do so there, and it paid off. Here's the kick. This one is going to be out of the end zone, and a booming boot there from Devin Miller, Gavin. I think Miller, and again, he's had some college interest. I think he has definitely got the leg to kick at the next level.
Oh, and no doubt about that. I mean, we've seen our fair share of some rough kickers, but he's got a good one.
So Pekin will take over at the 20-yard line here with Benassi and company. And again, doesn't look like Dylan Anderson is active for tonight's game, Gavin. So again, you're going to probably see a lot of Ty Jackson. And also see if Benassi can kind of get that connection going with his other receivers.
Yeah, Ty Jackson's able to do a lot. I mean, he had over 1,200 yards of offense last season.
Benassi looking to throw, is picked off, but there's a flag. That's going to be an easy pass interference call. Benassi was looking for Korma. It was picked off by Klein. It would have been his second in as many weeks. But that one, pretty obvious, Gavin.
Yeah, no doubt about that one. I think if he doesn't get tripped up, it's probably a jump ball. No guarantee, so Dragons kind of catch a break right there. He got tripped up by the defender.
Indication is pass interference against the Panthers.
So that will be a automatic first down. It should be for the Dragons there. And Gavin, last week there was a lot of penalties in that Pekin Dunlap game. They went a little bit more on Dunlap's side, but for Washington, there was hardly any flags at all in that game against Metamora. A very clean game.
Yeah, I think the reputation of both of these sides is they don't want penalties. Now, again, in a very tightly contested game that Pekin and Dunlap are playing, penalties can sometimes get the best of you. But I think both these teams will kind of play to each other and shouldn't see too many flags tonight.
So the PI is a 15-yarder. Here's Jackson right up the belly to gain about 5 or so. And Gavin, let's take a look. Doug Nutter is coaching a veteran here in the Mid-Illini. He is, in fact, one of the longest. He is tied for Brett Caslett with one of the longest tenured head coaches in his 17th season, approaching 100 wins in his career. He's got 85 right now.
Yeah, he's done a lot of good things. He's made a lot of state playoffs and led to Pekin to some of their most historic seasons. We go back to 2022. That was a very special season for the Dragons. And they were under the direction, of course, of Doug Nutter.
Here's a handoff up the middle. This is Jackson Traylor running into just a pile of orange jerseys. And, Gavin, we talked a lot about Jackson. We're going to see, or Ty Jackson. We're all going to see a lot, too, of the other Jackson. Jackson Traylor is a big-bodied back.
Yeah, similar names right there, but they both do really good things for the Dragons. This is a third and moderate. I think they'll probably keep it on the ground, although Ty Jackson not setting up there as a running back. So we'll see what they go with on a very big third down. I think this is a big drive. The Dragons need to keep moving the ball.
It is Traylor in the backfield, runs right up the middle, got a great hole opened up by his offensive line. He's into Washington territory, and that is just exactly what the Dragons drew up there. That was a good-looking run and a great play if you're a fan of offensive linemen.
Yeah, you know what Doug Nutter's thinking. He's thinking that Washington is game planning very heavily towards Ty Jackson. And not that they can't use Jackson throughout this game, but he realizes they're going to have to get a couple more players involved, keep switching it up, keep Washington's defense off balance. That's where Traylor comes in. That's a big first down run.
Traylor had 8 carries for 28 yards last week. Here's Jackson up the gut. He's still up on his feet. Jackson twirling around, still going. The ball came out. It was ripped away by Washington, and I think it's Panther football. That's a turnover in their own territory. What a play, Gavin.
And Ty Jackson's trying to give his case to the officials. He thought he was down. He thought his knee had hit the ground, but it looks like they're not going to budge on the call. It's going to be a first down for Washington, and they do that really well, John. They forced a fumble last week as well as the interception, so Washington can create on defense as well. They're not just the team that can create on offense.
What a play there from the defense, and that is one that just shows just that Washington is confident. I mean, we saw that last week. They knew that they were the upper dogs on the field, and they just ripped the ball away and take over at their own 28. Here's a handoff and brought down. A helmet comes off from a Pekin D lineman. Peyton Bridgman was in on the tackle for Pekin.
It actually looks like that was one of the Washington O-linemen that had it pop off. That looks like that's Sean Thornton.
Yep.
Got to interview him. Nice guy. Did a good interview with us for WMBD 5:30 kickoff. But yeah, I think looks like Pekin's still selling out on the run a little bit. Really not playing anybody in the secondary. You got your guys pressed up on the line, and it looks like their focus is on stopping Will Freeman. They feel pretty confident in their corners to hold A.J. Jones at bay despite the first touchdown, and it's a risk. It's a gamble. We'll see if it pays off for Doug Nutter and company.
And Jones at the top of your screen. Keep an eye on him. Washington calls a timeout. So, Gavin, one thing I wanted to mention, a player especially on Pekin to keep an eye on, especially after seeing that touchdown from Jones, is cornerback Tegan McCoy. He really did a good job of locking up the #1 player in the entire state last week, Max Sutter. He held his own against a receiver that was much bigger than him, so we'll see how he does against Jones tonight.
Yeah, allowed just one catch on the matchup with each other, and it looked like I think he was playing against Jones on that first play of the game. Got caught a little bit flat-footed, but I expect him to fully lock in and get going as we progress throughout this one, and that's going to be a fun matchup. Jones and McCoy really good at their respective positions.
And thanks for tuning in here on our WMBD Game of the Week, powered by Clutch Sports Media. And also got another game going on tonight, our Clutch Sports Media Game of the Week. You can watch it on our website, clutchsportsil.com, or our YouTube page. Normal West and Bloomington is a great game going on down in the Twin Cities, so kind of have a 2-for-1 special here tonight. Here's Noah Garcia to throw, looking across the middle, and it's connected with James Johnson, the veteran receiver.
And Johnson's really good for that. He's a big frame, he's got a lot of height, and he's sure-handed. So you can put him on a lot of those curl routes. He's going to be a very physical body. He can go up there even with good coverage and come down with a catch. Gets a first down for the Panthers right there.
That's his 6th catch of the season. Got about 55 yards on his campaign. Still looking for his first touchdown, but Washington didn't have a passing touchdown all season until last week. Here's a handoff going to Freeman, looking to bust it off to the left side. In pursuit are a couple Dragons. Towels flying all over the place, and Freeman gains about 4.
And again, I think the message is beat us in the running game. You know, Will Freeman still getting his own, but hasn't had an explosive run yet, although it's early. But I think that they're trying to force Washington to pass it. Again, with a young quarterback, Noah Garcia has looked fantastic. He's got a lot of potential, but again, he's still a sophomore. There's still a long way for him to go, and the Dragons are hoping maybe they can rattle him. And Doug Nutter talked about creating turnovers. I think they want an interception.
They do, and it's a veteran defense here for Pekin. They got 8 seniors in their starting lineup. Here's a handoff going to Kamar Mack. He's going back. Thanks to Peyton Bridgman, the DN, bursting through the line for a big TFL.
And that's one thing we didn't see in Metamora Washington's game last week. You know, Metamora has a very young and inexperienced offense and defensive line. They didn't really win the trenches. Washington just controlled, hence they controlled the whole game. Well, I think the script is a little bit flipped. Pekin is going to go toe-to-toe, probably might be one of their toughest lines they see all season, and we're seeing the effects right there. Pekin can get in and swarm.
Here's a 3rd and 11 now. Good point there, Gavin, as a man in motion is Jones. Is a keeper from Garcia. He can run it. Got a block, still going. Pushes Jones. Says, hey, go block for me. Garcia gets rattled under the sideline, but it's a big first down.
That's a big momentum shift. It felt like Pekin had kind of started to dig the heels in. Then they go with something a little bit tricky right there. Good blocking. A.J. Jones came up. He ran back up for a big block. He is ready to make the most of his time on the field.
Again, Jones, probably just feels like he's got to make the most of the rest of this regular season he got. You know, he is a guy that is looking at playing at the next level. He's got a few college offers, Division I offers. So, again, trying to, prove what he can here in these 6 weeks of the regular season. Garcia under some pressure. Nice catch by James Johnson in traffic. He's still up on his feet. Johnson brought down by his ankles, but not before a gain of about 16. Garcia is really in rhythm.
And if you're Pekin right there, you got to feel like you're right there. Nearly had a sack, probably about a step and a half behind. Johnson was pretty well covered, made a late adjustment to make that catch, and then a couple broken tackles get him some yards after catch. So Pekin's right there. They just got to clean up some of those smaller details.
It's a 4 wideout set now for Garcia. They will hand off to Freeman, a little bit of a delayed handoff, and a aggressive approach there for Jackson Traylor. Just saw him wailing away at the ball like he's Peanut Tillman, but good ball security there from Freeman on that 5-yarder.
Yeah, I think Peanut Tillman would tell him to go back to the drawing board on that one. Not enough on it to get the ball out, but also very sure-handed from Freeman. This is a big spot, though. Can Pekin dig their heels in, or does Washington have something up their sleeve? We saw on the first drive a passing touchdown to A.J. Jones. You just never know what they'll go with.
Here's a 2nd and 5. Freeman going up the middle, and he's going to be wrapped up close to the line of scrimmage. Couple of Dragons there and on that tackle, including Jackson Traylor. And Gavin, you talked about that D-line for Pekin, all pretty big. Yeah, Camden Wheeler, 5'10", 235 at D-end. Their nose tackle, Alex Nolenberg, 6'1", 250. And Peyton Bridgman, second-team all-conference selection last year. He is at 5'11", 230. But again, they have been giving some good pushes. Garcia looking to throw, looking for it all. Into the end zone, incomplete. And good positioning there from Bobby Martin. Washington wants a flag. They won't get it.
Yeah, I think that's a good no call right there. The ball was well underthrown. There wasn't a lot of contact. Martin just put his arms up. A lot of people think you have to turn around on that. That's not the case whatsoever. Looked like a clean play, well played by Martin, and looks like it'll be a, I'd say, pretty routine field goal. Not for many teams, but for Washington it is with Devin Miller.
Again, Miller did have a kick blocked last week right before halftime against Metamora. This would be a 37-yarder. Lines it up from the left hash. Not much wind going on tonight. A slight breeze. Miller's kick is up. It's a line drive, kind of spiraling sideways, but it's still good.
He still had some extra distance to give on that one. Never leaves it to chance. And they love utilizing him. They'll like a 10-0 lead as we approach the end of the first quarter. That's probably more than acceptable to Todd Stevens.
So Washington is 2 for 2 in their drive so far in scoring. Pekin, on the other hand, is 0 for 2. And you got to really finish off your drives, make the most of your chances against Washington. And Doug Nutter was talking about that earlier this week.
Yeah, they're not out of the hunt yet. They saw how last week went. They realized they just got to clean up some of those finer details. Talked about getting everybody to the ball, tackling, creating those turnovers things. They need to get the momentum in their favor, especially right here on the road. It's never an easy thing to do, especially when you got a big contingent out here in orange and black. Huge student section from the Orange Crush. Got to put a lot of pressure on the Dragons, but I think they're up to the test. They just got to make a response.
I always like to talk about the student section themes here tonight as USA night for the Orange Crush and the Washington unofficial fan cheerleader. We see him at every game. I don't know what his name is, but I mean, he is always getting those fans riled up here at Babcock Field. Washington again looking for their 21st straight Mid-Illini win. Here's Miller's kick. It's off, and it's another good one. And that one is through the end zone, so no chance for a return for Chase Kruger or Ty Jackson. What are you looking for on this drive here, Gavin? Again, Pekin down 10-zip right now. Benassi hasn't really found his receivers quite yet. Maybe they can get it going this drive.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think really the only thing that you do differently is hold on to the ball. They had the ball moving. Ty Jackson, Jackson Traylor both had some good runs on that last drive. Unfortunately for them, it just came in a fumble. They were moving into the other half of the field, kind of got near the red zone. So if you hang on to the ball, do roughly what you did on the last drive, I think it could result in 6. Again, ball security is really everything, especially for teams that run a lot.
So under 2 minutes to play here in this first quarter. A little bit of a false start on Pekin. There's some motion near the top of your screen.
Yeah, miscommunication right there, and that's a couple penalties we've seen each way. Again, we didn't see a lot of those last week. It was a very fast game. Felt like it just flew by. So far, a little bit of laundry on the field. They're definitely going to want to clean that up. Again, a couple of veteran coaches. Nothing they hate more than unforced errors, especially when it comes via that yellow flag.
And again, those first 2 weeks, maybe you'll see some of those flags still kind of shake that rust off as Benassi looking to throw. He's got a man. It's going to be a first down and much more. Completed a break. Korma, who lost the ball going into the sideline, but he was out of bounds before that happened. So a big pickup there of about 27. And some nice yards after the catch there for Korma, the junior wideout.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Washington's secondary plays, especially if Benassi really starts to air it out. You know, even last week, Metamora didn't pass the ball all that much. They've really faced mostly ground attacks. They've faced that well. But can they stop a really good air attack? I think we're going to start to figure that out this evening.
So 4 wideouts here for Benassi, and it will be a run play to trailer, but Camden Visconti says not so fast.
Yeah, total wrap-up right there. Brought him down to the turf, and that's one thing that Washington really excels at. Part of the reason their defense has been among the stingiest in the area. They don't allow extra yardage. They get them on the first tackle. That's something that coaches are going to preach at every level of the game. Bring them down the first time. Broken tackles usually don't mean good things for the defense.
And again, those broken tackles is a sign that the defense maybe could be worn out, which we do see a lot when teams are facing Washington. There's a quick pass through some traffic. It's over to Chase Kruger fighting for extra yards. And Benassi kind of threaded that pass. One of Washington's D linemen who put his hands up in the air, learning that from some of his predecessors, Carter Breen and Garrett Cox, who always did that.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of pressure on him. The pass protection is going to have to be good to let Brogan Benassi do his thing. Brogan Benassi last year passed for over 1,500 yards, 23 passing touchdowns. I mean, he can really get it done in the air. Didn't see it so much last week, but again, I expect a big bounce-back effort, and we've seen some nice passes so far.
This could be the last play of the first quarter as a flea flicker. Here's Jackson on the double reverse. Got a big block. Jackson's got more yardage. Inside the 25. What a block. I don't know who threw that. It may have been Korma, but that freed him up for 15 more.
No, that was the quarterback. That was Brogan Benassi lowering the shoulder. He came back over, sprinted up, and he just lowered the shoulder. Get off the tracks. The train is coming through. Brogan Benassi all over that one, and that's a big gainer. Again, Pekin holding on to the ball. They're moving it again. It looks like they got some good momentum. We'll see if flipping the field changes anything, but so far it's been a good one. Lots of good action here in the first quarter.
And so Pekin will end the first quarter driving. The Dragons looking good on offense. Just need to finish off those drives as Washington leads it 10-0 after one here in our WMBD Game of the Week.
Willow Lane Yoga and Wellness is now open at 7800 North Summer, featuring yoga, mat Pilates, reformer Pilates, and our exclusive to the area Fuse ladders. Find out why we're different at willowlaneyoga.com.
Family banking from a name you trust, Hometown Community Banks. For over 6 decades, we've been here right where you needed us. High-quality banking services delivered by caring professionals, people just like you who live and love Central Illinois. It's a history we're proud of, and one we'll continue to offer to every person who walks through our doors. When you bank in your hometown, your money stays in your hometown. Hometown Community Banks, divisions of Morton Community Bank. Look for the clock tower and you'll know. We have time for you.
Wright's Furniture in beautiful downtown Pontiac provides the highest quality furniture for your home. Kick back and watch the game in one of our cozy recliners, or experience a wonderful night's sleep in one of our luxurious mattresses. Visit Wright's Furniture for comfort and quality.
Welcome back here to Washington. Pekin's got the ball at the 21-yard line after a big run from Ty Jackson. Dragons knocking on the door of the red zone here in our WMBD Game of the Week. And the ball's on the ground. A missed toss there between Benassi and Jackson.
Yeah, again, I don't know if they learned from the first time. You got to take care of the football. That's a very dangerous play. Not to mention it sets you back quite a bit here on second down. A lot of momentum kind of just erased with that bad first play.
No, I'd say about 97, 98% of those toss plays, usually the running back brings it in, but boy, if they don't, it could spell real disaster, and Pekin was lucky to hang on to it.
Smart play by Jackson just to jump on it, not try to advance anything, is another flag.
And is a false start on Pekin. That'll back it up, make it 2nd and 24.
Nearly country mile territory.
Was it 27 is about country mile territory? What's the official, what's the Gavin Russell criteria?
I didn't dub that. I can't take credit for it. Usually past 25, that's where I usually start to talk about a country mile. So we're knocking on the door.
So Benassi will take this one from the shotgun. 3 wideouts, looking to his left side, looking for Perfetti. No, he's got another man. The crosser was Martin, and it fell just below his hands.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure coming in on the edge from Joe Smith. Smith had his hand up the whole time, able to just kind of consistently push back the left tackle there of Pekin. and that is Jace Thompson. So good pressure, not so great pass protection. It forces an incompletion, and a 3rd and pretty long.
And Pekin kind of in that no man's land. They may go for it on 4th. They can treat it maybe like a 2nd and 24. Benassi fakes a swing pass. Is a pass over to Korma. He's been busy in the receiving game. They'll pick up a handful, but it still doesn't make it much easier here on this 4th and 16 from about the 31-yard line. I don't think Pekin's going to kick a 48-yarder.
No, I think that I would just go for it if I'm Pekin right here. Worst comes to worst, he hopefully at least gains some yards, and it's almost as good as a punt. But obviously the ideal situation for Pekin is you'd be able to get a 1st down or even more.
And after that big run from Jackson, they've been mostly going to the air on this series. Here's a big throw from Benassi, got a man, but too far. He was looking for Ty Jackson, his running back, out of the backfield. That would have been almost a guaranteed 6.
Yeah, Benassi kind of puts his head back a little bit. He knew he had him right there. Had a couple men beat. Just not able to connect on the throw. Washington gets all right field position to start things out as they look for 6 more.
And while they take the field, Clutch Sports Media Overtime, your new home for all Central Illinois high school sports content. Plenty of written stories, multiple ones every single day pretty much. We got news, feature stories, power rankings, and much, much more for all the area high schools, especially Pekin and Washington. Lots of good things happening at those schools pretty much every week of the year. So Washington takes over at the 31. Freeman getting wrestled down. I do like this fight we've seen from Pekin, Gavin. They have been gang tackling. It's just a matter of can they actually bring them down sometimes.
Yeah, last week Will Freeman had 178 yards. So far this year he's averaged 162 yards per game.
Wow.
Through 3 weeks. So
wow.
It's a smaller sample size, but he's consistently done it through the 3 teams they played, and that's playoff caliber teams at that. So Pekin's really given him his first test. So far he's really seen this year. So far he's pretty much run at will, but not tonight. Tonight Will Freeman's going to have to figure out something else to get past this stingy Dragons defense.
Garcia checks the armband at 2nd and 10. Johnson in motion. They'll go play action. Garcia looking long for Jones. He nearly got it. Right there in lockstep with him was guess who? Tegan McCoy.
McCoy recovered well right there. Jones had a step on him, but it looked like as Jones slowed up, McCoy was able to close in, and it was just out of the reach of Jones. I think if it was on the money, he would have had it. McCoy catches a little bit of a break right there, and it brings up a 3rd and 10.
Yeah, we briefly touched on it a few seconds ago. Both these teams played very good non-conference schedules. Washington against Niles, Notre Dame, and Troy Triad. Pekin playing a pair of Class 8A teams, Plainfield South and Belleville East, 2 playoff teams from last year. 3rd and 10. Garcia's got plenty of time to throw. Could read the newspaper back there. Now he's rolling out and out of the pocket, and he'll pick up about 6 or 7, so they'll set up about a 4th and 3 in their own territory.
And he got hit pretty hard going out of bounds. Didn't get a number. It was on the far side of the field, but good discernment there by Garcia. He had a lot of time, as you mentioned, all day. Drink a cup of coffee. Just didn't have anybody open. Nice job by the Pekin secondary. And I didn't really expect this, but I think we're going to have a ton of passing in this game. And, personally, I'm a big fan of passing offenses, so I'm excited to see how both of these teams do with a pass-heavy offense.
Yeah, Gavin, we've been around the area long enough and broadcasted so many of these Mid-Illini games. A little bit of heat on that punt from Joe Smith as it gets bouncing inside Pekin territory down at the 24, a solid punt that goes for about 43 yards. But we've seen so many of these Mid-Illini games, and going into it, you never really expect either team to pass the ball a ton. It really is kind of a big run-first league for the most part. But again, I think, we're seeing both these teams looking pretty confident throwing the ball. We got 2 great gunslingers back there.
Yeah, I think you just see how the game has changed, over the past couple of years as more teams start to kind of get into passing. Metamora has kind of opened that up a little bit. Pekin as well the last couple of years, even back to their 2021 and 22 teams of Scotty Jordan. They've had a lot of really good players. East Peoria is starting to get on the passing game, as is Washington as well. So we're starting to see that modern game infiltrate the high school level and a little more away from just the standard run game.
8:36 to go here in the second quarter. Washington got a 26-yard touchdown pass from A.J. Jones and a field goal from Devin Miller. Benassi throwing on the run. That pass is complete to Bray Korma, the junior, 6'2", 165, having a big game already.
Yeah, he had 3 receptions last week against Dunlap. Only 19 yards on the day, but again, 3 receptions is 3 receptions. He was still looking his way quite a bit. And that was a big reception right there. Nice job to haul it in and just keep his body in bounds as he was falling away towards the far sideline.
Now they'll go back to Jackson, and that was a nice-sized hole for him to scamper through. Evan Deasy, linebacker for Washington, got in there on the tackle. So we'll see a couple guys for Washington that run the football that are also linebackers, including Deasy and Will Freeman. Those are 2 really key pieces of this Washington D.
Yeah, I've never been much of a running back, but I could tell he kept his knees high right there. He wasn't dragging his feet on the ground and made it hard to get any ankle tackles for the Washington defense, helped them get through for a 5-yard gain.
They'll call Jackson's number again. He gets wrapped up quickly. That time it looked like it was Wade Lehman getting in on that stop, a junior D tackle and a wrestler for Washington. We talked a lot about how much wrestling experience they have on this team as well.
Yeah, both these teams throw a lot of wrestlers out there. Again, notably, lots on the D and O lines for the Panthers. Physically built guys that are increasing their strength year-round.
Here's a 3rd and 6. Benassi in some trouble. Benassi taken down in the backfield. And it's going to set up a 4th and long and a almost guaranteed punting situation here for the Dragons. Front 7 brought the heat.
Yeah, Todd Stevens knew, hey, we need to put a little pressure on and get this thing going back in our direction. That was a big missed opportunity there for Pekin if they could have moved the ball and potentially scored. Now it goes right back to Washington, who really could start to put some heat on the Dragons with a score on this next drive as we're halfway through the second quarter.
Yet another fast-moving game here. It seems like we didn't get started that long ago. Punt is away. Brought in at the 33. Emmendorfer dropped it. It's on the ground. Ball is loose. Who's got it? It looks like Washington does. No jumping up and down on the Pekin sideline. So another ball on the ground that is recovered narrowly by the offense.
Yeah, I think collectively a lot of people on this side of the bleachers held their breath as that one was tumbling free. Luckily for Washington, lots of orange jerseys in the area. And again, decent starting field position. Washington really hasn't been backed up against the ropes at all. They've really had a lot of field to work with, and that definitely probably takes a lot of pressure off, John. You know, just having a lot of field, you're not backed up, decent field position always feels nice.
Again, Pekin, their first play of the game, they'll a little bit of a muffed kickoff return and had to start the first play of the game at the 5-yard line. You don't see that too often, as we had a timeout called by Todd Stevens and his squad. So
timeout by Pekin, I believe it is.
My apologies there. So both teams have 2 timeouts left here in this first half. Gavin, it's a big night in the Mid-Illini, another game that we have our eye on. Again, stay tuned at halftime. We'll have all the scores from the Mid-Illini games and several other key ones around the area. Metamora Morton's another big one going on at Carper Field tonight.
Yeah, I think that Metamora definitely is looking for a bounce back. You know, they're not going to take getting shut out lightly. But Morton, I mean, they're legit. I mean, they kind of had a down year last year, not how they wanted to finish. Well, they're really coming out and laying the law down. So 2 of the best teams. We'll see if they're both competing for a Mid-Illini crown at the end of the year, but both I'm really expecting to make the state playoffs.
And Morton is looking really good, looking for a bounce back here, like you said, trying to get back after going 4-5 last year, and they're looking pretty good to make the playoffs this year, and it looks like a hard count from Garcia got the Dragons to jump. Another pre-snap penalty on the visitors.
And the scoreboard not really reflecting this for Pekin. Just a couple unforced errors. Of course, the turnover has kind of set them behind, but they're right in this game. I mean, this game still feels very close in my vantage point. I don't think that there's a huge whopping lead yet for Washington. We'll see if that'll change.
It's a designed QB run from Garcia. He's got blocks. Flag is down. Garcia's going to take it to the house. We'll see if it stands. It would be a 59-yard scamper. That hole might have been opened up against the rules, and it was.
It's always that pesky holding call, always on the big ones. And Brian Noah Garcia, you got to just kind of shake your head a little bit. Really well designed, just got a little extra space because of the hold. As they'll move it backwards. A lot of running for, I guess, a lot of nothing.
Yeah, well, Garcia, though, has been running a lot this year, although a little bit more than nothing. He's had 43 rushes, 234 yards, 3 scores on the ground coming into tonight. So, again, that's Washington is the last few years has really been able to have a quarterback that is just as good with his legs as he is throwing the ball, if not better with his legs at times.
No doubt about that. And I think they knew at the freshman level last season that he was going to be a special player. They saw him throw the ball a lot, but they also knew the kind of athlete he was and able to just run with the football. So that's the modern game, right? The Lamar Jacksons, guys like that can do everything, and they're good at everything. And that's kind of the player Noah Garcia is. Again, still a sophomore. He's got a long way to go. He's going to be a really spectacular player, and one I'm sure will play at the next level if that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, again, he took visits to multiple Division I camps during the summer, including some at Illinois and Alabama. Here's a 1st and 13 on the slant route. He's looking Johnson's direction. He brings him in, and there Johnson uses size and perhaps his basketball knowledge to kind of box out the Pekin corner.
Yeah, you wouldn't think a 6'4" would slip through the defense, but just got in there and made the catch. Kind of left Pekin a little bit confused on the play action, and just kind of a misread from the Dragons' defense as a little bit of a hurry-up offense from Noah Garcia.
A little bit of a trend of Bucker here. Again, Washington usually content to hold on to the ball and dominate time of possession. Freeman crawling across the 37. And he will be marked down at the 38, so a gain of about 7 or so there.
I think that's the goal there for Washington is, maybe try to pass it, then go up tempo to get a quick run to Freeman. That way Pekin doesn't have time to set up their defense. And you see right there, 7 yards. We'll see if they go back to the well.
I'll take a 7-yard run pretty much any day of the week. Garcia going to the left side, sidesteps a defender. He's got a first down before he's brought down by several Dragons, including big number 61, Donovan Knock, and Travion House, one of their Pekin's seniors. So, yeah, this Pekin defense, I think a big key for them is it's got to be getting off the field early and not, being on the field for multiple minutes at a time because, again, Washington just really grinds you down, don't they?
Yeah, Pekin's offense really hasn't provided a ton of relief either. So, this defense for the Dragons could get tired very quickly as we're approaching halftime.
Dragons do have players that can step in, though. Garcia, and he's going to – no, he evades it. There's a flag down. Garcia runs to the safety of the Pekin sideline just as he was about to throw. There was Chase Kruger, linebacker in the backfield, and a penalty on the Panthers.
Yeah, that was definitely a hold because he had his man beat on the far edge. He came around and nearly had the ankles taken away from Noah Garcia. The hold prevented that, but it'll move him back up on the penalty. Again, when you got two really good teams going at each other, it makes it hard to play the game cleanly and not give up a sack or something like that. So we'll see if both teams can kind of lock in and keep the penalties off the board. It's hurt both teams a fair share of times in this ballgame.
So it's a 1st and 20 for Garcia and the Panthers. 3 wide receivers. Again, keep an eye on Johnson at the bottom and Jones at the top. They've been active tonight. Freeman, jersey untucked, still running. Flag was down. Not sure if that was a hold, they indicate. And if that's on Washington, Gavin, well, lo and behold, we be in country mile territory.
It is the official country mile territory. Looks like it'll be 30 yards now. Again, Washington just not in rhythm on the offensive line. This is kind of a first for them. They've been pretty much rock solid there all year. You know, really disciplined, no struggles. Well, they've had a couple penalties here that have set them way back, and definitely a big chance for Pekin to create a stop as now they're even out of kicking territory. I'm not so sure Devin Miller could even make one from this far, John.
So they'll back him up to midfield. And got to get down to the 20 here with 4:15. So, Gavin, this is an opportunity where Pekin, I would say they have to get off the field here. You're not going to get much of a better situation than this.
Oh, no, for sure. I mean, if nothing else, leave this at a 10-0 ball game at halftime, lick your wounds, try and come up with a little bit of a different game plan for the second half, but you can't let them convert on a first and very long.
Garcia looking to throw, and Johnson was wide open, perhaps too wide open. It bounced off of his hands.
And he comes up a little bit limp there, a little awkward on his left leg. Nothing he can't shake off. Big number 88, just a little bit overthrown. As the clock stops, and, you know, if Pekin can create a stop here, as I'm sure they'll punt from this distance, Pekin could have a chance at a late drive in the first half to maybe get some points on the board. So either way, a big stop needed for the team in white.
So 2nd and 30, Garcia just going to keep this one and just try and pick up some yards. He'll get strung out and pushed out at the 45, and a late flag comes in. Dragons may have got a bit too excited and a bit too fired up to make a stop there, and this could really hurt them, Gavin.
Yeah, that's not a smart play at all. Unless there's offsetting penalties, that was definitely not the smartest move there by Pekin.
Pekin 47.
Let's see, they'll talk about it as looks like Washington's expecting to move forward, and Pekin already backing up.
So that would most likely, usually you see it after the play, that usually means a 15-yarder.
Indication is a dead ball, personal foul.
It's a dead ball personal foul against Pekin. So you have that, you're about set up for about a 3rd and 25 or so. And this is now going to be about a 3rd and 10. So a little bit more manageable.
So you hear the white hat referee call it out, and
hey, they're mic'd up tonight. Well
very
done.
much mic'd up, yeah.
Able to make sure everyone can hear him. That's always good. I know a lot of refs do wear mics, but sometimes those things can be pretty fickle. I know that a lot of times they try to wear them. They're not working, but they are tonight. Here's Garcia going play action, looking to the right side, and never was really there. There were 3 white jerseys in the vicinity as Garcia was aiming for Jones.
And got to give a lot of credit there to Jackson Traylor. He came in and put a ton of pressure on a weak side blitz. As a nice call there by Doug Nutter's defense. And this is a 4th and kind of no man's land. Really not an area you want to punt from. Maybe right on the cusp of Devin Miller's range as a kicker.
It'd be about a 49-yarder. I think he's hit from this far in practice, but Washington may just roll the dice and say, hey, let's just try and get 6.
I think it's a good call here by the Panthers. We'll see if they can convert.
So 4 wide receivers, 2 on each side. Garcia looking to the right, looking for Jones. He's got the connection. Down to the 10. 4th and 10. They got 20.
And the risk pays off right there. They want to bring Devin Miller out, but a little bit later for a PAT. They're looking for 6 more to throw onto the scoreboard, and a sure-handed receiver. Boy, do they love having A.J. Jones back.
He has made a big difference in being back so far. Nothing again against their other wide receivers, James Johnson, Owen Klein, Jack Maley, but having a guy like Jones who can just kind of create that separation like he did right there, so valuable. It's 1st and 10 now from the 12. Garcia looking for the end zone. Good pass breakup there by Ty Jackson. He lets him know.
I think that they were expecting pass. Defense just made the right call right there. Not a bad ball there by Garcia, just better defended by Ty Jackson.
And glad you're with us in our WMBD Game of the Week. If you want to tell your friends, tell your family to tune in, tell them to get on it. This one's been moving quickly, already nearing halftime here with 3:19 in the second. Freeman stumbling across. getting down to about the 5 or 6, so it's going to set up about a 3rd and 4. This is kind of a prove it down here for the Dragons. How tough are you in this situation? Where does that weight room work over the summer and all over the winter come into play?
Yeah, you got to find that extra gear right here. I mean, this is one of those moments that it's kind of unexplainable, but somebody on that Dragons defense just has to say, I'm going to make a play right here. Otherwise, it's probably going to be Will Freeman in for 6.
Here's a ball on the ground. Pekin says they have it. It looks like they might. Trailer indicating so. There's a scrum for the ball. We'll see what's all going on in there. Maybe some tomfoolery going on in the bottom.
They got it,
I think. And it's Pekin football. Coming up with it was 33. That's their DN, Camden Wheeler. That's a huge stop for the visitors, and now they could have the final say before the buzzer.
Just in the matter of about 5 or 6 plays, what a crazy momentum back and forth. You know, we had 3rd and a country mile, or 2nd and a country mile rather, and then the penalty on the Dragons gave them an opportunity. Big catch by Jones, and now a fumble. I mean, you know, you wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it. That's why you got to stay tuned in with us. But that's something they did last week as well. They fumbled right near the goal line against Metamora, so maybe the one thing to clean up, the one negative glaring thing is some turnovers have been a little sloppy in the red zone, which you just really can't afford to do.
So Benassi and company have 2 minutes, 31 seconds to go, 95 yards. The second time tonight they've started to drive from the 5. From his end zone, looking to unload, looking for his man. Was that a catch? I believe so. Bray Korma having a night.
Man,
full
he laid out for that. Wow, Superman on that one. Wish we had an action shot of that right there. I mean, he was fully in the air. He dove out a couple feet for that one. Impressive catch, and Dragons are moving.
Pickup of 32. And in that situation, Gavin, the hardest thing sometimes isn't just catching the ball, it's holding on to it as you crash to the ground, which you still did. Benassi gains a couple there. You'll see that in your highlight reels tomorrow and tonight for sure.
Most definitely. Probably the play of the game in my opinion so far. And it could be even more huge if they're able to score on this drive.
Handoff, and it's quickly blown dead. Jackson had a nice looking run of steam there. This will be a false start on the Dragons.
Yeah, the timing has been a little off for Pekin thus far. Does stop the clock, but obviously you don't want to get pushed back like that. Still a long way to go on this field and under 2 minutes to play. This feels like a must-score drive, John, especially with Washington receiving to start the second half.
Most definitely. Washington usually comes out at halftime looking pretty good. Well, Pekin has done a nice job of keeping themselves in this game, forcing turnovers, and they did force a punt earlier. Washington scored on their first 2 drives, but they've been quiet since the 156 mark of the first.
Pekin's had their chances. Can they take one of them? And again, this drive feels like a big chance.
Handoff up the middle. Jackson. Well, it was a long time before the Panthers were able to just get hands on him. He is brought down to the 49.
As the clock briefly stops to move the chains, and you're right at midfield. Dragons are ready to go. Washington's trying to substitute. We'll see if they can catch them off guard.
Quick substitution here for Washington. Benassi looking to throw. He was going for Jackson on that in route. And both these quarterbacks definitely are able to kind of put some mustard behind that ball. Some powerful arms from both Benassi and Garcia.
Yeah, just a little too much mustard on that one. I do think they need to keep it in the air, though, to try and chunk away a few more yards, at least till you get to the red zone. Each side with 2 timeouts remaining in the half, so don't have all 3 to lean on. But the biggest thing here for Pekin, you got to keep moving the ball.
4 wide out set. Daw in the backfield to block. Benassi is going to throw it on the run, and I believe Owen Klein came up and nearly picked that one off.
Yeah, it was read really well. Kind of a comebacker route, but just read really well. Came out of nowhere and to break that one up, and now a 3rd and 10. Has to feel like another passing down as lots of blank stares over towards the Dragon sideline as they're going deep into the playbook for this 3rd down call.
Yeah, that was nearly Klein, what could have been his 2nd pick of the game. He did have one earlier, but was taken away from a pass interference. Screen pass is picked off. Big man pick, Camden Visconti. There's a flag down. He got wrapped up by Benassi, who lays face down on the turf in disbelief, but he may be bailed out here. We'll see what this flag is all about.
I think it's going on the offense. Rather, that's Pekin's offense. So I believe, yes, it's going to be a hold. That will stand. What a big momentum shift right there. Pekin forcing the turnover not that long ago, and now Washington creates one of their own.
Well, if you're a fan of grandfather clocks, this is the game for you. The pendulum is swinging back and forth. How about Camden Visconti again? Just Benassi is going to be kicking himself for that one. But credit Visconti again for making a play. I thought he was going to take it back for 6.
I really did too. They're lucky he got tripped up by the ankles. 1:14 is a lot of time, especially with 2 timeouts. And just outside the red zone.
And they can run the football here, and that's what they'll do. Freeman running across and tackled at the 15. Traylor trying to take him down from behind, but Freeman just carries bodies with him, Gavin. And we talked briefly last week, and he's this guy that has really gotten so much stronger while also getting so much more agile too.
Which is a crazy thing to do, but just elite workout program. Obviously, he's been trained and conditioned very well, and it's paying off right here.
Garcia play action, looking for the end zone, and Johnson was incomplete though, but a nice ball.
I mean, he's right there. I mean, 2 years from now, that's a pass Noah Garcia is going to make with regularity. Again, just a little bit too fine, getting it a little bit over there. And again, it's just a fine thing, to throw the ball on the money to a guy running in a different direction. I mean, we don't appreciate how tough that is. And again, Noah Garcia is right there.
So it's 2nd and 10. Freeman, the handoff. Under a minute to play. He'll get brought down at the 10. Washington does still have 2 timeouts to work with. We'll see if they use one here, and Todd Stevens emphatically does. So they'll talk things over here. 33 seconds to go for a 3rd and about 2 or 3 or so. Gavin, last time in this situation, Pekin got a fumble. They can't obviously count on that this time. I think they're gonna have to make a play this time around.
Yeah, honestly, I think you're playing the clock at this point. Can you run the Panthers out of time or force them to try and take a field goal? I just don't think you want to give up another touchdown. That would feel really costly at this stage in the game. You're still very much in this one at 10-0, maybe 13-0, but boy, you go up another touchdown, really start to put this one in jeopardy, even though we're only 1/2 down for Pekin.
And you can ask any team that's faced Washington over the last year, 2 years, 5 years, even more. A 3-score deficit against Washington is very hard to come back from.
They are a team that finishes really well. The defense has been incredible. You can't score quickly against them. Makes them a team that they get a lead. You're probably not going to come back off of in a timeout match by Pekin. Is probably just looking to see how they set up the offense, make some adjustments.
So as they kind of go with a little chess match, we'll take a quick break here on CIProud.com. Be right back as the Dragons in the red zone.
Willow Lane Yoga and Wellness is now open at 7800 North Summer, featuring yoga, mat Pilates, reformer Pilates, and our exclusive to the area Fuse ladders. Find out why we're different at willowlaneyoga.com. Wright's Furniture in beautiful downtown Pontiac provides the highest quality furniture for your home. Kick back and watch the game in one of our cozy recliners, or experience a wonderful night's sleep in one of our luxurious mattresses. Visit Wright's Furniture for comfort and quality.
So both teams talking it over here before a big 3rd and 3, 33.5 to go. 2 turnovers in the last few minutes. Washington looking to end the first half on a high note.
Big 3rd down right here. If they don't get the first down or the touchdown right here, they might opt to just go ahead and kick the field goal, but That's not an easy thing to stop. Will Freeman's going to get the carry.
And he'll go play action. Garcia rolling. Got his tight end, Visconti. He is in for the second straight week. The player that made a pick catches a touchdown for the Panthers.
See how much of an analyst I am. I thought that was going right to Will Freeman. They had a play action in mind. And Visconti, probably the MVP of this first half, coming up with the stop, the turnover, and the touchdown. What a sequence there for the big man.
That's Visconti's first catch of the season, and it's a big one that puts Washington, if they can make this PAT, up 3 scores going into the locker room. And again, Gavin, they get the ball back to start the second half.
Yeah, that feels like a crushing blow where it felt like Pekin had things going their way for a couple minutes. Things can sure change in a hurry as Miller, money right through the uprights.
Money Miller. Indeed, it's 17-0 Panthers. So, Gavin, again, 26 seconds to go. Still enough time for maybe something, maybe a really big play. Pekin's been looking for those ones tonight. They had that long pass to Korma, but they are going to need more of that here this evening.
Yeah, I think they might just go ahead and wave the white flag for the first half and try and revisit the drawing board. I'm sure Doug Nutter already has quite a few adjustments in mind. Veteran head coach, he's seen it all. He's been in these exact same spots probably dozens of times throughout his career. So we'll see if they decide to do anything. Miller probably going to kick this one out of the end zone. Really not a chance for a kick return. But you never know. Maybe Doug Nutter has something up his sleeve. Got to get a little tricky in these big Mid-Illini games, do whatever it takes to come out with a W.
Well, something to note is Ty Jackson actually had a punt return for a touchdown last week, although it wasn't really a touchdown. He got called back because of a penalty. But again, Jackson in the open field is extremely dangerous, so we'll see if they kick it his direction. He is back there again along with Chase Kruger.
And he's standing in the end zone, which tells me if he gets a ball to catch even in the end zone, he might just try to take it and see what happens.
Yeah, it's Jackson on the goal line, Kruger at the 5. They're going to kick it towards Kruger, who backpedals, brings it in at the goal line. Here he goes running to the right, and great coverage by the Panthers special teams. Big tackle there from Caleb Barrick, the junior linebacker.
Seeking missile, and you talk about all 3 phases. The special teams, those gunners don't get enough love, slowing guys down like that. Could have been a big play, you never know, but Barrick didn't even want to throw that out as a chance. He stops him in his tracks well before the 20-yard line.
Again, stay tuned for our halftime show. We caught up with some Pekin players, had a fun little interview with them. We'll break down the first half. We'll also take you around all the scores in the area, including the Mid-Illini and many other good games going on as well. So it will be Benassi out of the shotgun. Might be a passing situation here. They will hand off. And it's kind of a slow run, trying to get some push for a couple yards. And Gavin, I think that will probably be the last play of the first half as Trailer gains a few.
Yeah, I think they're ready to head to the locker room, take a few minutes to rest, but Washington's feeling good right now. The mojo just keeps going, and I'm trying to rack my brain how many quarters now it's been since Washington's allowed a point. We're going back now over 6 quarters worth. I believe the answer would be 8 quarters.
We will put the research department on that, and we will come back with a definitive answer.
It's been a lot
sometime soon. Yeah, their defense has really come to play. They lead it 17-0 here in the first half in our WMBD game of the week. We'll take a quick break here on CIProud.com. Again, stay tuned. We'll be right back for plenty more football talk, breaking down the first half and much more.
Champions aren't just made on the scoreboard. They're built through teamwork, leadership, and setting an example that makes us all proud. Turks Collision Center is proud to celebrate the student athletes of Central Illinois because their victories reach far beyond the game.
Passionate, focused, strong. Qualities that you look for in a great athlete, and also a great lawyer. At Strong Law Offices, injury law is at the heart of what we do. Our team is on your side. When the game is on the line, let us tackle your claim.
At Ham's Furniture, we have your comfortable, affordable recliners, mattresses, and more. And we offer free local delivery.
Hi, I'm Russ at Ham's Furniture, inviting you to stop in and see what's new today.
Ham's Furniture at 347 Court Street in downtown Pekin.
Sam Lehman Morton, the #1 Ram truck dealer in Illinois and largest Ram dealer in the Midwest. This month, take $16,000 off a brand new Ram 1500 Crew Cab, or save $12,000 on a 2025 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. Plus, take $10,000 off a new Jeep Grand Cherokee. All this and more during the Labor Day sales event at Sam Lehman Morton, where we do the deals no one else will.
Looking for a getaway close to home? Discover Mackinac Valley Vineyard, wine country in your own backyard. Sip handcrafted wines on the wraparound deck. Take in stunning views of the rolling countryside and make memories that last a lifetime. From relaxing afternoons to lively weekend nights, there's always something happening, like outdoor concerts, festivals, and private events under the stars. Come for the wine, stay for the experience. Visit MackinacValleyVineyard.com to see what's on our calendar.
Willow Lane Yoga and Wellness is now open at 7800 North Summer, featuring yoga, mat Pilates, reformer Pilates, and our exclusive to the area Fuse ladders. Find out why we're different at willowlaneyoga.com.
Looking for an electrician you can trust? Look no further than the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 34, in partnership with the National Electrical Contractors Association. From large-scale industrial projects to commercial developments and residential needs, IBEW electricians bring the training, expertise, and professionalism you deserve. Plus, get the added security for your new home with our +5 protection plan. Work with an electrician you can count on. IBEW Local 34 and NECA, building a legacy of training, professionalism, and trust.
Wright's Furniture in beautiful downtown Pontiac provides the highest quality furniture for your home. Kick back and watch the game in one of our cozy recliners, or experience a wonderful night's sleep in one of our luxurious mattresses. Visit Wright's Furniture for comfort and quality.
Welcome back to Washington. The lights are out, and even the lights of the Kona ice truck here on a somewhat warm evening. But Gavin, it's turned out into a beautiful night for football here. Washington leads Pekin 17-0. And overall, just quick initial thoughts from the first half.
Yeah, it just felt like a half where it was pretty even-keeled. You know, Washington's offense kind of stalled out after their first drive. That touchdown pass to A.J. Jones. It felt like Pekin had a myriad of chances and just kind of squandered each one of them. So, if anything changes for the Dragons, we could see them get back into it. But again, Washington holding serve, they just do so well, and being able to come back even after they make a mistake, they're able to make a big play to kind of reverse that. We saw that towards the end of the first half with the interception turned touchdown as Panthers lead 17-0.
Certainly, and we caught up with some Pekin players. Ty Jackson, Tegan McCoy, Joel Mingus, all starters, all team captains for this Pekin team. They're fun to talk with this week, so I caught up with them about a few different things, get to know them a little bit, and also hear about what it's like to play football as a Pekin Dragon. Have a listen. I'm here with three members of the Pekin Dragons: Ty Jackson, Tegan McCoy, Joel Mingus, all part of a Dragons team that's got some big goals here in the Mid-Illini this season. And guys, we had talked with head coach Doug Nutter before the season, and he has always talked so much about the work that goes into not just the season, but every Friday night. You know, he says champions are made Monday through Thursday. Tell me a bit about what it's like being part of a Pekin football team that puts so much of a big emphasis on the off-season work and the weight room work as well.
We just put a lot of work in the off season, and we know we show up every single day in the summer, every single day in the winter, so it shows up in Friday night.
Like you said, 2 weeks after our loss to Lincoln Way in the weight room, putting in work, just got to finish on Friday nights.
Yeah, obviously we're sacrificing our time. We're giving all our energy and effort to this program we're on. We got practices, all that. We're working our butts off so we can get better.
Definitely, and you know, you guys last year obviously were very impressive. There were some people last year that didn't give you guys the respect you deserve, and you kind of proved a lot of people wrong last year. You know, this year, was there kind of a different feeling? Do you guys feel like you guys are looked at as a team that's expected to be near the top of the Mid-Illini?
Yeah, for sure. We got a lot of expectations now coming off a good season last year. You know, we just got to live up to the expectations and exceed them.
Yeah, everyone's looking at us. They like to say we got scheduled, or we are ranked #1 in Mid-Illini. We knew it was gonna happen. Everyone looked down on us last year. We came out. We did our thing last year. We just gotta keep it going and do it this year.
Even with those expectations, I've always played with a chip on our shoulder this year. We gotta keep that attitude we had last year and stay scrappy and be able to get the win.
Definitely. And you guys, obviously you guys, part of a big team, it's a very talented team as well. Kind of get to know you guys more a bit like off the field as well. We're going to start with a quick fun fact. What's something that most people don't know about Ty Jackson, by the way, all Mid-Illini Conference running back?
Something they don't know about me. Probably that I'm a really good fisherman. I'm really good at fishing.
All right. Any type of big fish you like to catch? You go for big bass guy or
big bass guy? That's all I do.
Favorite? Okay, I was gonna ask favorite spot. I don't want to give it away. Yeah, I can't give that away. I'm not much of a fisherman, but I remembered that the last minute. Tegan, what's something people don't know about you?
I'm always out there fishing with Ty. All summer we were out there fishing. But another fact, I'm good at pickleball.
Okay. There we go, multi-sport athlete Tegan McCoy in pickleball. Joel, what about you?
Obviously, I'd like to say one of my favorite things, kind of school. Keeping it up in the grades. I got that 4.0.
There you go. Okay. There you go. Well, hey, Joel Mingus hitting bodies on Friday nights, hitting the books during the rest of the week as well. Guys, we're one question more for all you guys and kind of another fun one as well. You're going to play who's the most likely to. So, Ty, who do you think is a person on the team most likely to show up late for practice?
Brogan Benassi.
The quarterback.
Yeah, he be sleeping in sometimes. He be in the playbook, so he sleeps in a little.
Hey, I get it. Sometimes you gotta stay up late, studying the playbook. You fall asleep. Alarm doesn't go off. It happens. Tegan, for you, who is a player on the team most likely to order a $30 order at Taco Bell?
Austin Spody. The big boy, you gotta eat.
For sure. And Joel, last question for you: who is most likely on the team, or who is on the team would you not want to ride in the car on the game to? Who's maybe the worst driver on the team?
Oh, that's hard. I might have to say Braden Larson. He likes to whip it. He likes to whip it a lot.
Well, hey, as long as they're staying safe, that's the biggest thing as well. But get to know the Pekin Dragons, looking for a big season again this year. Throw it back to the booth here on CIProud.com. Welcome back to Babcock Field here in our WMBD Game of the Week. So fun to catch up with those Pekin players here, a bit about them. Gavin, I know you weren't there, but I had to ask them what's something they don't know about him. Ty Jackson said he likes fishing. Joel Mingus, big books guy, got a 4.0 GPA. So I always like to catch up with those players during the week and get to know them on more than just the football field.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, they're great guys. They love playing out here and always fun to talk to. They can say some pretty hilarious stuff, John. So nice to have conversations with both teams and all the players throughout Central Illinois.
Most definitely. That's kind of one of the more fun parts of the week as well. We say, hey, we see you on Friday night, but we also like to get to know you during the week as well. But as far as what we've seen on the field, well, we see the Washington's band right now putting on a heck of a performance. I mean, they are in mid-season form right now. They sound great. The flags are all going great. They're always one of the tops in the land. But, Gavin, again, that first half for Washington, again, for a while it looks like they were ahead by just a bit. They had a bit of momentum, but now it is really swung after that pick and that touchdown catch, both from their D-end and tight end, Camden Visconti.
Yeah, that was the best thing that could happen for Washington and the worst thing that could happen for Pekin. It felt like it was manageable there for the Dragons, but then huge momentum shift. And again, a team like Washington has been so stingy. I believe it's 8 quarters that they have not allowed a point in. I mean, that is something really special. And all the teams Washington has faced so far have been playoff caliber. They're not playing any slouches. They have done this against some very, very good offenses, including Metamora, who's putting up a big number. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yes, we will. Yeah, we did get our stats department on that. Washington didn't allow a second-half score against Triad. They didn't allow a score all game against Metamora, and they pitched a first-half shutout here against Pekin. And also, too, again, for Pekin, Gavin, Ty Jackson, obviously a big focal point of the attack here tonight. Bray Korma's also had some amazing catches. He's been very busy. I think for Jackson, they're probably looking for him to get a big run going and try and burst something free. He's had some good runs, but nothing where he's been streaking down the sideline.
Yeah, whatever you do, however you make it happen, it could be Ty Jackson, it could be Korma, it could be Benassi with his legs. He had a rushing touchdown last week. Whatever they do, they just have to break the seal. They have to kind of get over that hump because Washington's defense has been rocking and rolling just like this Washington Panther band on the field right now.
Most definitely is. We continue to enjoy their performance. We'll take a quick break and be right back here. And coming back, we'll have scores and highlights from around the area. Stay tuned right after this.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime. After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams,
Your stories, your stats and standings.
your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts. As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovations.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds. CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action, more stories,
more coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
And welcome back here to Washington. Washington leading Pekin 17-0, and now the fans kind of headed for the concession stand now that they've seen a great performance from the band. And Gavin, let's take a look at the scoreboard around the area. We talked about some good Mid-Illini games going on here tonight. What do you see here on this first batch of scores?
Well, you first look at Dunlap. They're up 21-0. They are continuing a hot start that they had against Pekin last week in the Mid-Illini Conference slate. Canton giving a little bit to East Peoria. First half score right there, 21-16. Raiders narrowly in front. How about Metamora and Morton? Look at that. Metamora got shut out last week, probably not quite satisfied with that, so they put up 4 touchdowns in the first half. But again, Potter's holding serve. They're on the home field. That's going to be an exciting finish and could go a long way into Mid-Illini Conference standing implications, plus just momentum for both of these teams. And then our last score there, not a Mid-Illini score, that is Normal West and Bloomington, 21-12 as West is in front.
Well, let's take a look at that game right now, Gavin. Again, our live look-in. This is, you can watch this game live on ClutchSportsIsle.com. Can pull up both of these games. So Bloomington at the ball right now, trailing 21-12. And Gavin, last year it's almost surprising. Bloomington won by 32. They won 48-16. This time around, it's going to be a lot closer. And again, Bloomington 3-0, Normal West 2-1. Winner of that game, I think, is kind of up there in the kind of top 3 with Community and Peoria High.
Yeah, they certainly both in the upper echelon. Definitely probably top 5 regardless. Bloomington did lose a lot of guys from last year, although we've seen they are a good team and they are not to be taken for granted whatsoever. But Normal West, again, they competed with Community, came up short earlier this season. But again, another really tough squad as you see the Purple Raiders with the ball.
Yeah, Keontae Hamilton, that's their wide receiver turned quarterback this season. So, again, Bloomington kind of an underdog team, had some question marks, but they've really found their stride, especially with their wide receiver Hamilton now at quarterback. Let's take a look at the other scores around the area. The Shamrock Series down at Dozer Park. P&D leading Richwoods 8-0 last update we got. Peoria High is up big on Manual, and also Normal Community and UI pitching shutouts right now. It's a big game for the Ironmen against Kankakee.
Yeah, a lot of lopsided affairs on the other side of things. There in the Big 12 is, I believe that Notre Dame Richwood score is from quite a bit earlier. Lions taking care of business. Community, I had them in the pick'em this week, so we'll see if they can avenge last year's loss to the K's. So far in good shape. And normally U-High all over the Rail Splitters.
on the road. That'd be a big bounce-back win for Normal UI after a close loss to Bloomington in Week 2 and a 1-point loss to Decatur MacArthur last week as well. So you having some other scores from around the area to take a look at. Princeville, Elmwood, Brimfield, a great small school game. Prince is up 28-20 in that one. That's the Lincoln Land Large versus Lincoln Land Small. We also got Pontiac up 13-0 on IVC. How about El Paso Gridley? They're up 22-14 on Gibson City, Melvin, Sibley. Two state-ranked teams, and the Titans are looking mighty fine.
Yeah, and my pick'em's looking pretty good as well, John. Yeah. But definitely some area teams taking care of business. Princeville, they lost a really close one to Rushville Industry, and I believe I heard Kurt Pagler say earlier this evening, this is the first time Elmwood, Brimfield, and Princeville have matched up in about 20 years.
Wow.
I did not know that, but they had the conference kind of redo, and now they're getting to match up again. So far, it's been all Princes and a first meeting in a long time between those two squads.
Some other schools or other games to keep it on. Hayworth up 17-7 on Tremont in Heart of Illinois Conference action. Tri-Valley shutting out DMAC 28-0 right now. Two teams needing a bounce back. BCC up on Rantoul 51-6, Athens 21, Olympia 14, Farmington leading Illini West 28-0. We'll take a quick break and come right back here with the second half in our WMBD Game of the Week on CIProud.com.
At Bob Grimm Chevrolet in Morton, we're out to sell $20 million of new Chevys in 2025, and we'll do whatever it takes to hit our goal. We'll save you thousands by discounting every new Chevy in stock and giving more for your trade. We'll check all the options to get you the best interest rate, plus every rebate possible to save you even more. When we sell a new Chevrolet each of the 365 days this year, we stay on track. Will you be the next to make our day and be our one new Chevrolet? The math is simple. One new Chevrolet every day. That's the Bob Grimm way.
Champions aren't just made on the scoreboard. They're built through teamwork, leadership, and setting an example that makes us all proud. Turks Collision Center is proud to celebrate the student athletes of Central Illinois because their victories reach far beyond the game.
Peoria Production Solutions is a unique not-for-profit manufacturing company. For over 80 years, our mission is to be the premier employer of individuals with disabilities. We are committed to providing employment, training, and encouragement to people with all types of disabilities. With 300 employees and our 2 facilities, we continue expanding our capabilities and growing our team. We are Peoria Production Solutions. Higher performance, higher standards.
Are you taking too much risk with your retirement or not enough? Most people aren't sure. That's why we created the Risk Quiz. In just a few minutes, it helps you understand your personal risk tolerance. Your risk score could reveal why your current investments might feel too aggressive or too conservative. It's simple, fast, and can be eye-opening. Scan the QR code or go to twarisk.com to take the quiz and find out if your money matches your mindset.
Welcome back to Babcock Field, second half. Ready to get started here between Pekin and Washington. Jonathan Michael here in the booth alongside with Gavin Russell. And Gavin, Washington's going to start with the ball. Pekin is going to need a stop here on this drive so that it doesn't become a 24-0 deficit. But we'll see what they come up with. Maybe they come out energized after that halftime break.
Could be, but this is do or die territory for Pekin. It's hard. It's crazy to say that right at the beginning of the third quarter, one touchdown could be the put-away touchdown, but the way Washington's defense has been playing, one more score could be enough to do the trick. So a big series here for Pekin. They'd like to boot it away and start with some good field position of their own if they can stop the Panthers.
You never know, Gavin, what could happen. Maybe an onside kick. We've seen a lot of those in the first few weeks. This one, though, is a booming kick in the end zone for a touchback. So Washington will start at the 20. And Gavin, real quick, we didn't get a chance to mention this during the break, but look at it around the horn. The other teams for these schools going on right now. Take a look at some other Pekin sports. Boys golf, they're hosting the Pekin Dragon Classic this weekend. And girls golf, Leah Brown having a nice season, was a medalist in a Mid-Illini Conference match. And their girls cross-country team won the Mid-Illini pre-conference meet earlier this week. So good start for the Dragons, and, you know, that makes them the favorite going into the conference meet here in a few weeks.
Yeah, golf's always synonymous with Pekin. Pekin always has some really good guys and gals on the links, and of course running after it too. Probably going to be among the best teams in the Mid-Illini there in cross country.
I got the chance over the summer to meet D.A. Points for the first time, former PGA Tour golfer, now a analyst on the PGA Tour Network with Sirius XM. He was really fun to talk to, and yeah, a lot of great golfers. Mason Minkle, college champion at his college down in Florida this past season, and obviously Carter Stevenson doing great things at Bradley. So again, Pekin, a really good golf town, also a pretty good football town as well.
Yeah, well, they like to step it up and have some similar success, not winning a championship tonight, but they'd love to try to win this football game.
And they're trying to stop a 2-game losing skid, but Noah Garcia has something to say about it. Garcia will say, see ya, down the sideline, 75-yard score.
Wow, what a run there from Garcia. He got great blocking, read his blocks well, and just turned on the Jets. Oh, Washington here in this one. Didn't even take him a minute to get up on the scoreboard. They want to say their offense can play a little bit too, just like their defense.
Garcia now 4 rushing touchdowns on the season, well over 300 yards through 4 games. So, I mean, yeah, you put him and Freeman together, you got a deadly combo. And how about the legs from Noah Garcia? Again, folks, we've told you before, but he is just a sophomore. So Miller on for the PAT. Gavin, silver lining for the Dragons. I said this exact same sentence when it was 24-0 against Metamora last week. It's still a 3-score game if you get some 2-point conversions. But you got to start somewhere. You got to start sometime soon.
Yeah, it doesn't feel very hopeful for the Dragons, but, they're not giving up. They're not a team that folds. They're used to responding to adversity and nothing else. Again, just break that seal, get on the scoreboard, take something positive with you, and see if you can make a little push at it. I mean, Washington has been really the best team in the area so far this season. Maybe see if you can do something to hurt them a little bit and create some of your own confidence if you're Pekin.
A lot of Washington fans weren't even back in their seats yet, coming back from the bathroom, from the concession line. They probably had to turn their necks and say, oh, what's all of this hooting and hollering about? It's their sophomore quarterback going 75 yards to the house, and they lead at 24-0. So, and yeah, I mean, we talked about the kind of that worst case scenario for the Dragons was to give up a late touchdown, give up a touchdown on the first drive, and unfortunately that came true. So we'll see what they do here on this drive.
I mean, just a span of about a minute and a half of game time. You go back to about 30 seconds in the first half, into the first half, and now 50 seconds to start the second half. 2 touchdowns for the Panthers, making the most of their time.
So Miller's kick will go into the end zone. Kind of hung in the air there for a little bit. Again, I was talking with some of our staff members, Nicholas Giuseppe, Gabe Haloka before this one, and it would have been nice to have Devin Miller on the Bears a few weeks ago back in the week 1. They needed to get that touchback to kind of have some time to get the ball back, potentially tie the game up. But Cairo Santos was not able to get it in the end zone, so maybe they should give Devin Miller a call sometime soon.
Yeah, Bears are a sore subject, and I don't know if I would want to subject Devin Miller to playing for a team that seemingly can't keep a good kicker on the roster, but Devin Miller deserves a lot better than the Bears.
Here's a 1st and 10. Ty Jackson runs into a massive humanity, and another good stop there by the Washington D-line. Marquand Young, number 72 in orange in there.
Marquand Young made a lot of good plays last week in Metamora. Called his name quite a bit. It hasn't got in on a lot tonight, but so far, Panthers looking better on the D-line. Kind of an even play with the offensive and defensive lines, but it looks like Washington starting to step it up.
Jackson in the backfield again. He'll get the pitch. No, Benassi's going to throw it. It's bobbled, juggled, incomplete. Opportunity for a first down. He was looking for his fullback, Travion House, there.
He hit him right in the numbers. Probably didn't expect it to come with that much juice. And just too hard to handle. Again, Pekin's got to move the ball, try to find something here, and they're probably going to keep it in the air, trying to get through the air game, get some yardage.
3rd and 11, they'll keep it on the ground. And you try to kind of keep the defense honest, and it's a solid pickup there for Jackson and Gavin. 4th and short, you think Doug Nutter's going for it here?
I mean, I feel like you kind of have to. 4th and short, find a trusty play in the playbook, something you're pretty confident in. If everybody executes, you're just trying to get first down. Not trying to tear off a big chunk here by any means. Just keep the ball in your possession.
And this is going to be a war in the trenches on this one. 4th and 2. Benassi's going to keep it running to the right side. He's got space. Nearly through to the 2nd level, but a good push on the right side. Jordan Miller, the right guard, and Big Joel Mingus at 6'1", 280, the right tackle, paving the way.
And physically, Pekin has one of the biggest lines in the area. It's just, again, are they able to match the speed and the skill of the Panthers, which they've done successfully multiple times tonight. But Pekin has really yet to finish off a drive, so they're starting to move a little bit, but can they get all the way down for 6?
And Pekin had some good drives as Jackson, slippery move there to get to midfield. They had some good drives, some good passes from Korma, and they were able to kind of move the ball on Washington, which, again, not every team is able to do. But, again, they had a fumble. They had the interception on the screen pass that led to that late touchdown in the first half. So, again, it's just about what Washington said. Again, it's finishing out drives. Benassi scanning, looking for Noah Perfetti, and it was in and out of his hands. Perfetti made a big catch in a similar situation last week, but that time can't come through.
That one was a dot there from Benassi. A couple of drops on this drive. Benassi's got to be frustrated. Wide open, Washington sold out. That was an all-out blitz. I mean, there was probably 7 coming in right there. And it was just man-on-man coverage. Perfetti had him beat, just couldn't make the catch.
So 3rd and 4, right smack dab at midfield. And Benassi looks through the sideline. It's a false start. Now it's 3rd and 9 here for the Dragons. So now that thins the playbook out a little bit.
Yeah, you can tell there's just some frustration. It's kind of unraveled on Pekin. The mental mistakes are starting to fly a little bit and not doing themselves any favors, but I think they've already shown this is 4-down territory, so they can get near the sticks on this play. You set yourself up for a manageable 4th down, which they've already converted 1 this drive.
Who did they go to here on this 3rd down? They'll call Jackson's number, hurtling through, and he gets pushed back. A lot of orange jerseys. Caden Rickey, James Johnson coming up from the secondary in that one. It sets up about a 4th and about 8 or so.
Yeah, again, I think you got to go for it, but I don't know that they are. I mean, big line change there is, looks like they will go ahead and punt, which is a surprising move to me, John. They've already gone for it on 4th down once. I'm not really sure what you have to lose. But clearly Doug Nutter not happy with his offensive effort and will opt to punt it away.
It'll be Bray Korma, who's also a soccer player for the Dragons, to kick it away. This one coming in near the 30, and a nice catch in traffic made there by A.J. Jones. Yeah, and that's never an easy play to make.
That is one of the most underappreciated plays in football right there. Trying to make that fair catch, and you've got everybody standing around you. One false move, and it could prove costly. Didn't muff it right there as they stick it right at the 30-yard line.
Yeah, and we saw what Pekin's other sports are up to. Let's take a look at what the Panthers are doing here during this fall outside of the football field. Their boys soccer team is one of the best in Class 2A right now. They're 12-0. They had a big win over Mendota yesterday. Volleyball also doing pretty well, playing a big game against Bloomington Central Catholic next week. And then boys golf also undefeated conference season. So Washington kind of running the Mid-Illini, and not just football, but also on the links as well. Here's Kamar Mack on the run. Nice size pickup running to the right side.
Kamar Mack's kind of had a tough night before this. Gotten stuffed in the backfield a couple times. A couple miscues from him, but nice run right there, trying to get him going. And again, not just a one-trick pony in the running game. They got a lot of backs that can carry the ball besides Will Freeman.
And you got Freeman, Garcia, Mack, Evan DC. We saw a little bit last year. Mack a little bit more of a new addition on the offensive side, at least at running back. He gets the call again here, and kind of barrel rolls across the 40, and that will be enough to move the sticks. So now we'll see Washington, Gavin. I bet you that most of the rest of this way probably just going to just be trying to run the ball and run that clock.
I think that the Pekin defensive line is pretty wore down at this point, and we saw them getting some really good pushes early on, but they are just not able to sustain that. I mean, that takes a lot of effort and a lot of energy, and Washington just wearing them down.
Here's a snap on 1st and 10. Mack, for the 3rd time in a row, he's brought down by Nolenberg, the nose tackle. Well, it looks like Peyton Bridgman might have been in there as well. Bridgman's an interesting player, Gavin. We haven't talked about him a ton today, but an all-conference returner for the Dragons. And I was talking with Pekin coaching staff. They said that this is really only his 2nd full year playing football. He played about half of his freshman season, was injured. And some other things going on as Garcia is going to get it away. And I believe that ball was caught. Kind of a wild play there as Chase Kruger was bringing the pressure. And that pass, it was caught by A.J. Jones. What a catch there. But back to Bridgman. Missed half of his freshman year injury and then missed part of his sophomore year as well. And last year he kind of came in and first year all-conference player. And now this is really only his 2nd or 3rd year playing football. He said he's still learning the rules of football a bit sometimes too.
Yeah, learning curve for sure. As they go with the Panther push again, which we saw a couple times last week. But yeah, there's a lot of guys I feel like around the area that have been really good athletes in other sports, just athletic guys that don't play football initially. They don't grow up playing it in the JFL ranks. Most guys don't. They're learning the game kind of along the way, and we see that how much potential they have. Just kind of a bit of a learning curve for guys that have never played football. There's a lot of technique, a lot of things that you don't even think about when you watch a game that they have to learn. Bridgman definitely picking it up well. Nice to see him 100% healthy and a big factor for his side.
Definitely going to be a player we'll keep our eye on the rest of the season. So 1st and 10, Panthers keep on marching inside of 6 minutes. Garcia looking to throw, looking for Jones. Another beauty of a catch inside the 15.
He is just coming out in a big way tonight as quickly gets stretched out there by his teammates. A quick cramp as he'll probably still getting his legs under him. Again, we're not 100% sure why he missed some early action this season. Perhaps an injury, something setting him back, but either way, hopefully it's just a cramp there for A.J. Jones.
Yeah, he is hobbling to the sideline, and hate to see that again, coming out in a big way in this game. He's got a touchdown catch already from 26 yards. Just kind of holding that one of his legs, so hopefully he's all right. But Washington, the good news for them is they move on in the red zone now. It's Mack in the backfield. I'll give it to him. He bounces off to the left side, being pursued by Martin, as well as 11 Tegan McCoy. A nice job there by Mack. Kind of when one door closes, another one kind of opened.
Yeah, and so far no sightings of Will Freeman. Trying to track his number down on the sideline to see if he's still out there. There he goes, right back in. He's not going to stay silent for long. And crazy to say, Will Freeman's been pretty much that whole offense for the first 3 weeks. Haven't even really had to use him that much tonight. Pekin game planned a lot around stopping him. Washington says, well, not so fast. We got plenty of other guys we can go to make plays on the offensive side of the ball.
There's a handoff. They'll call Freeman. Another good push there from the Pekin D-line. That was the best that they've looked and the best push they've got in some time.
Yeah, we saw quite a bit of that in the first half, stuffing Freeman, but again, 3rd and short. This is pretty easy for Washington. sure they'll have a tricky play call right here. We'll see if Pekin is up to the test to stop it.
Going back to Freeman, Gavin, it's good that Washington's able to rotate these guys in because it's a long season. Washington likes to run the ball. Will Freeman's getting a lot of carries, and I'm sure he can handle that load. But again, keep him as fresh as possible will probably pay dividends down the road. Here's Garcia rolling out, looking to pass. Oh, and he airmailed his target. He was looking for, I think, Caleb Barrick, who again made that big special teams tackle. And Garcia just a bit too far upstairs.
Yeah, that was way over his head. He was wide open. Garcia's going to want that one back. And now a 4th down. It looks like they'll let the kicking unit come on and try to put up 3 more. Devin Miller, pretty sure he can make this one.
And this is chip shot territory for him. This will be a 21-yarder. He's already made one on the other goalpost. Now we'll kick one to the south goalpost. And that Kona Ice light shining in his face. Makes no difference, though. His kick is good. It's 27-0 Panthers, and officially makes it now a 4-possession game. And a good drive there for the Panthers that chewed a handful of minutes off the clock as well.
Yeah, the moral victory there. Pekin was able to stand tall, made a couple of stops late there in the drive in the red zone. Again, that's a good takeaway there. But once again, Panthers able to put points on the board, and that's what Todd Stevens wanted to do. You know, even if it's just 3 points, keep getting points on the board, making drives that come out in successful trips. And again, 3 points is better than no points.
Most definitely. And again, Washington's so lucky to have a guy like Devin Miller. He was formerly the goalie on their soccer team, and obviously if you're a goalie, you got to have a big leg. You got to send those goal kicks down the field. And Washington was kind of looking for an answer at kicker a few years ago, back when Miller was a freshman and a sophomore. And then last year, he actually quit soccer to focus full-time on football. And now he's looking at potentially play at the next level. So, and we talk a lot about Miller, probably a lot more than teams' other kickers in the area. But again, he is definitely a guy that we'll have to watch out for on our CSM All-Area team. We'll be having those for the first time at the end of the year. So really looking forward to seeing who we're going to pick for that.
Yeah, I think he's probably got the whole kicker spot locked up at this point.
There's also Will Castro from Normal Community. He's got a really good leg. And a few other good kickers as well. But again, not few have been doing it as long as Miller has, and few can make them from as long as Miller can. We saw him make a school record last year, I think, of right around, 45, 50 yards or so. Me and Owen Dimfel, I remember, were on the call for that game, and that was a huge kick.
Yeah, there's a lot of NFL and college players that don't even make that one every time. So to be able to hit that at the high school level for a guy that's only been kicking for football for a couple of years, that's rather impressive.
And again, not to keep on going about kickers, but yeah, when I saw a post on social media on Twitter this week that you look back at what kickers were like back in the 70s, the 80s. I saw a clip of a Seahawks kicker making a 45-yard field goal, which by today's standards in the NFL, that's pretty pedestrian. But back then, the announcers and the kicker were celebrating like it was one of the biggest field goals ever, and that was just 45 yards. Now you got high schoolers out here making 45-yarders, so that's one part of the game that's really evolved a lot over the last few decades.
Surely has, and probably some kickers back in the day in the 70s and 80s figured out maybe wearing shoes helps you kick it a little farther. A lot of old school kickers wouldn't even wear shoes going out there. Not really sure what the thought process behind that, but whatever Devin Miller's kicks on the field, he helps it kick it a long way.
Here's Benassi. The ball is on the ground. Him and Jackson kind of an awkward handoff there. Washington indicates it's their ball. And it appears that it is. So everything going the Panthers' way right now. Looked like either Will Freeman or Marquand Young got in there and recovered it. Not sure who stripped it away.
Yeah, the game's starting to get a little reminiscent of the matchup they had back in 2023, which was here at Washington. Last time they played here, it was a 35-0 victory for the Panthers, so nearly a repeat of that effort. Again, if you're Todd Stevens, I'm sure you could nitpick a few things here and there when you watch the film, but you got to love how your team has played against a tough, 6, 7A opponent. A team that's been very competitive in the Mid-Illini, been very competitive in the non-conference, and you've just owned this game at home tonight.
Well, it's been, again, just over 3 years since Washington lost the Mid-Illini game, which that's an amazing accomplishment as Garcia looking deep for Johnson, and he dropped it in the end zone. We've seen that from receivers on both sides tonight, having a beautiful ball, and it's in and out of their hands.
Yeah, usually you can use maybe the cold hands excuse. Maybe it's raining, the ball is slippery, but those are just a few timely drops for both of these teams. One's the want back. Surely they'll make next time. Garcia's thrown a few nice balls that just have not been caught tonight. Again, you see how much he's evolved as a passer. Early on, hardly passed at all the first couple of weeks. Todd Stevens said every week he's just going to get more and more comfortable, and he can sling it with the best of them.
Logan Skaggs, another big body wide receiver, comes in as Johnson gets a breather here on second down. It's Freeman cutting it back. Oh, a nice move there to free himself up. He's got a first down.
He doesn't want us to forget about him, John. I said he wasn't a big factor tonight, but he certainly is still grinding away quite a few yards, and maybe he'll find the end zone before it's all said and done. 4 touchdowns so far on the season for Will Freeman. Pretty consistent thus far, but not anything tonight thus yet.
Yeah, Freeman trying to keep that streak going. Johnson, that would have been his first touchdown catch of the year, so I bet he is maybe a little bit upset about being able not being able to get that one. First down, handoff Freeman. He's got some space. He is a free man into the end zone for 6 more.
And right on cue, there's touchdown number 5 for the year for Will Freeman. And he just continues to tack it on. Maybe not his top yardage totals tonight, but still an effective player. Stymied in the first half, but he said, don't forget about me. As once again, the Panthers with another sizable lead and still pitching a shutout.
And they're 151 away from making it 11 quarters in a row without giving up a point. As Miller will come on here for this point after attempt. So again, we don't have official stats in front of us, but Freeman probably over 100 yards on the night is having it's kind of a buggy night outside. You can see all the gnats, all the flies flying here under the bright lights in Washington. You know, it's Friday night for the flies too. The players like coming out under the Friday night lights.
Yeah.
But I tell these insects really like it as well.
They might be looking to feast on some of the leftover concessions down on the bleachers after this one's over. Great shot by our camera crew there, and director Caden Sexton doing a great job tonight, putting together a great show if I don't say so myself.
Yeah, well, I think all of our Clutch Sports media crew, Gabe Haloka, producer for the first time behind the sticks tonight. We got Nicholas Giuseppe, Magnus Roeder behind the camera. Caden Sexton, our director tonight. He is Gavin Russell. I am Jonathan Michael. And it's been all Washington right now. And Gavin, I'm looking at not just the scores that Washington's put up the last few weeks, but the manner that they've been winning is something that I think certainly that other people in the state are going to be keeping an eye on. Again, AP polls at this point of the season are not everything. And some would argue they don't really mean hardly anything at this point in the season. But what Washington is doing is, is putting them, I think, back in that kind of maybe that conversation eventually in Class 5A or Class 6A, wherever they end up.
Yeah, at this point, I think that they are well deserving of a top 10, whatever class they are classified into. I mean, they are beating very good teams, and they still have, kind of the easiest part of the Mid-Illini schedule to play. A couple of tough teams stand in their way, but they are just rocking and rolling. They are cruising right through the season through 4 weeks.
And the kick goes out of the end zone. Gavin, let's take a look at Washington's schedule. It eases up here a bit for the next 2 weeks. They got Limestone and East Peoria. That'll be an interesting game against the Raiders, who might be on the door of playoff eligibility by that point. And they got Dunlap week 7. That could be a really big game. Then they got Morton, another key one on the road in week 9. So some big contests on the road the rest of the way out here for Todd Stevens' squad.
Yeah, they get a little bit of a lull, couple weeks there. Just got to kind of maintain, keep everybody healthy, do your job, and then those big ones that they'll probably be playing for a Mid-Illini crown come into in the last couple of weeks.
So the Pekin offense coming out is trying to get something on the scoreboard here to take into next week. Here's a run up the middle and another time that just nothing doing against this defensive line. Ty Jackson got the carry there. Parker Westerfield, first time we've called his name. He's been active tonight, but first time we've called it senior linebacker for them. You know, Gavin, for this Washington squad, linebackers are just every year so much at the heart of what they do. We've seen some great groups come through over the years.
Yeah, they defensively, just in general, they have had some monsters on the defensive side. As a nice pass deflection right there.
That's Caden Rickey.
Yeah, Caden Rickey. Now even the secondary stepping up. I think that was my question coming in this one. How good is the secondary going to be? And they've let up a couple catches, but every phase of this defense has been phenomenal, from the secondary up to the defensive front. Really just not a weak hole, not to mention tons of depth. I mean, you just got guys coming in and out, fresh legs constantly. They are a defense to be feared by any team.
Especially on the line, they're deeper than in past years. Benassi, another good throw and catch to Bray Korma. He is, I would say, been the brightest spot of this Pekin squad here tonight. And again, we don't know what Dylan Anderson's injury status is. We know he went down in week 2 against Belleville East. That's a big loss for this team. But, however long Anderson has to be out, someone, again, has to step up, and Bray Korma is answering that call.
Yeah, you got to just have a guy, next man up mentality. A lot of guys chomping at the bit for their opportunity to play.
Number 3.
Great engagement there on the line. Austin Spody, and a defensive lineman for Washington, really showing that aggressiveness still. Even, still like to see it, though, even in a 34-0 game in the third quarter. Spody, a returning starter at center on that line for Pekin. Here's 2nd and 10 from Benassi. A quick throw and caught quickly by Chase Kruger. He's got a first down.
And I really feel like if Pekin finished off a couple of drives earlier and things didn't quite unravel, we wouldn't see a lopsided score like this. The tail of the tape, I don't think the scoreboard tells the whole story. Washington has played a phenomenal game, but Pekin has had their opportunities tonight, just weren't able to convert. Got to figure out how to finish off some of these drives.
From midfield, here's a run by Jaden Daw. He got spun around and then pushed back. Washington still feeling it on defense. Joe Smith getting him a big push back there.
He got picked up in the air. I mean, he was airborne for a couple seconds. Looking for a professional wrestling type slam. Probably thought better of it. Didn't want to grab a penalty. Didn't go anywhere on that play, though.
Clock ticking down. Benassi is just going to let it go into the 4th. So Washington adds on to their lead with a touchdown from Noah Garcia, Will Freeman, and a field goal from Miller in the 3rd quarter. We'll see if Pekin can get on the board here in the 4th. We'll be right back on CIProud.com.
We are Local Union 649. Our commitment to safety, our state-of-the-art training facility, and our pride in the work we do to build America is what makes us stand out from the rest. We are Local 649 of the International Union of Operating Engineers, and we are looking for the next generation of equipment operating apprentices. With Local 649, you'll find more than a career. You'll find a family, creating legacies since 1917.
We believe solar energy should be as dependable as the sun itself. Now, imagine your energy company felt the same way. In an industry full of overblown promises and hazy fine print, we're here to be the light in the dark. Ready to explore solar with a partner you can trust? Visit www.suncollectors.solar.
Welcome back to Washington. The Pekin Dragon fans still hanging around here in this one, despite a big deficit and incomplete pass there as Benassi was looking for Kruger. It was thrown down there by Ricky. So, we just kind of had the football toss. A lot of the kids happy to get those little mini footballs. I remember that back in the day. And I think once they got their football, I think they're content to head out. But we'll see what the fourth quarter brings. And you never know. We still could have some interesting stuff going on here in this final frame.
You get to maybe see a few guys that you don't typically see. Try a few things out of the playbook that you don't typically try as Benassi scrambling around.
Benassi, good run there again. Brogan Benassi, again, it's a familiar last name, Gavin. We talked about, again, he's got an older brother, Bo Benassi, who was part of that great Pekin squad back in 2022. He was catching passes all over from Scotty Jordan. There was Kanye Tyler, Tanner Sprecher. All those guys. I know, personally speaking, and also us at our company, we have a lot of very fond memories of seeing Pekin play football, win or lose, no matter what, over the years. And again, Bo Benassi has also got a sister, Bella Benassi, who plays softball and volleyball. Also another sister, older one, that played sports as well at Pekin. So a very athletic family. And a great pass deflection there from Kamar Mack.
Another stop, but you mentioned just a fantastic family. I think Benassis have even gone back even farther than the three recent ones we're used to. So they're a staple in the Pekin community, that's for sure. And Pekin turns it over right there as another touchdown would put it into running clock territory. Again, it's just been all Washington tonight, leaving nothing to chance here at Babcock.
Most certainly not. They're always fired up to play in front of their home crowd. And back to the topic of, again, athletic families at Pekin. You got Bray Korma, his older sister Zoe Korma, all-time leading scorer in girls soccer at Pekin. His dad, Gus Korma, is the boys soccer coach as well. Bray plays a few other sports, so multi-sport kid. I don't know those for certain either, but Pekin's got Bobby Martin. I remember there was Isaiah Martin on the team a few years ago, so I'll double check and see if they are related. Here's a handoff. Not doing much there. Good push there from the Dragons line. Anson Zeiser on the carry, and Donovan Knock there and on the tackle. So we'll be trying to kind of bring us a lot of names here in this fourth quarter, especially for these guys that maybe we don't get to see quite as typically on our broadcast on Friday nights.
Yeah, that's a pretty special thing to do. And, don't get us wrong. They're still trying out here. They're giving it 100%. This is kind of just like practice. Show the coaches something that might make them put you in a future week. They definitely want to be on the field as much as possible. And this is a chance to showcase it right here.
Washington letting this play clock go down a little bit. Here's another handoff, and Pekin was ready for it. A swarm of white there. They're trying to wrestle the football away, Gavin. I've noticed the last few plays have been a lot of kind of pushing and shoving. Nothing, thankfully, too much, but there is a lot of tenacity and a lot of aggressiveness still on the field right now.
Yeah, definitely a lot of tension for Pekin right now. Somebody wants to make a big play just to have something favorable to talk about. It's just been kind of a quiet second half for the Dragons, but taking their time. Washington in no hurry. I'm just going to let some time tick off the clock and try to outlast Pekin in the last 9:45.
This is Gabe Emmendorfer, I believe, taking the snap for Washington here on 3rd and 11. Again, Emmendorfer, their punt returner, also a wide receiver defensive back. He's just going to take a direct snap and get brought down. A big hit laid there by Pekin. It looks like number 22, Waylon Josina Jr. gotten in there and laid some lumber. So bring away punting down for the Panthers.
Yeah, and kind of another moral victory there for Pekin, able to create a stop and get to receive a kick back. See if they can do anything special here.
And man deep back to return. That's Jackson. Waving for a fair catch. Nearly lost it, but got it between his legs, I believe. In and out of his hands. That's the second time he's bobbled one tonight, but Dragons keep possession at the 20. Let's take a look at Pekin's schedule the rest of the way, Gavin. And again, they're on track to go 1-3 in their first 4 games, but they have had an absolute brutal schedule. I mean, 2 8A teams. Belleville East has been looking really good this year. Dunlap looking like they're going to be 4-0. Washington, they got Morton next week, Metamora the week after that. Then they kind of get Canton, Limestone, East Peoria to end out the year. So again, 1-3, still very much in the picture, but they got to win one against Morton or Metamora if they want a chance to get into the postseason.
Yeah, it's just about getting to the playoffs at this point. You kind of took your lumps early on in the season, but, can you make a response in the second half? Still 5 games to go, and you just never know. Any Mid-Illini matchup, you just never know how things are going to go. Sometimes the games turn out like this. Sometimes they turn out like we've seen in the rest of the conference. Metamora and Morton trying to effort a score on that one. 28-27 in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
As Redbirds shut out in the second half, but still in front. So close game over there. Normal West still in front of Bloomington, 27-25.
Wow, that's a close one. Again, you can watch that one. We have a free live broadcast of that one on ClutchSportsIsle.com. Unfortunately, no free live broadcast, or at least no free broadcast of Metamora and Morton. Dunlap beats Limestone 49-0.
Yeah, some big scores in the area, but a couple close games to keep an eye on. My Princeville Princes got some revenge on Elmwood. I finally picked them, and they came out with a win for me for this week. So pick 'em not going to suffer too hard. You can go check out that pick 'em on CSM Overtime. Kind of had a rough week last week. A lot of teams proving us wrong, but love to see it,
Here's a handoff. Jackson is free. There goes Ty Jackson, and there goes Washington's scoreless streak. He will take it in. 73 yards. There's something to hang your hat on for Pekin, and there's that big run from Jackson. You knew it was only a matter of time.
Wow. Shocking fashion. A big touchdown, breaks the seal, and again, take something with you. Jackson's got to feel good about that. He's had a few nice runs tonight, finally able to convert and puts up another touchdown for him this season.
Jackson last week, again, 24 carries for 119 and 2 touchdowns. So, again, he's had a good year, another all-conference guy, so good to see him get in the end zone there. Here's the point after attempt coming from the Dragons. And the kick is up and good there by Carl McCann, their senior, so he puts it through. Yeah, speaking about Pekin and kickers, Miley Hansen making some waves last week from Monmouth College, getting her first official college career field goals and booted some extra points, and she won her conference's Special Teams Player of the Week. So awesome to see it from Miley Hansen.
That is awesome. She was one of those many special parts to Pekin a couple seasons ago. Great storyline, lots of great interviews with her. We did some articles and some great coverage there, so congratulations to her.
And again, speaking about, female kickers, there's multiple of them in the area. We actually have one coming out soon on Jasmine Bisping from Richwoods. And I'll be on CSM Overtime. Again, you can subscribe today, ClutchSportsIsle.com. Got lots of great news and feature stories coming up. Our own Molly Scheuer was at Fieldcrest and Leroy tonight, so she'll have coverage from that game. Also, again, coverage from all sorts of football and volleyball, boys soccer, all the sports in Central Illinois. We cover it every single day on CSM Overtime. So head on over and check it out and subscribe today. So Pekin, again, maybe onside kick here, our director Caden Sexton says, and if you're Doug Nutter, maybe why not?
Give it a test, right? I mean, it might come in handy later in the season, might have a real use for it, where it might matter to the game. No, they'll just kick it away, though. A little pooch kick out of bounds.
Angle near the sideline, so that'll give Washington pretty good field position here. So it'll be a good starting field position for the Panthers. And we'll see, it's kind of under center. We saw Emmendorfer take some snaps there. Again, we're also keeping an eye out. Again, there was a quarterback competition during the offseason for the Panthers. Noah Garcia ended up winning that job, but Owen Klein was in the mix. And then there was also Jeter Schweigert as well, so maybe we'll see him. We did see them briefly last week, too, against Metamora. So 2 straight weeks, Gavin, we were kind of getting a workout, the roster knowledge of the Panthers. Got to know these guys up and down.
Well, they're certainly deep. They got a lot of different guys that we can call. They're able to get it done in a big way. And, Jeter's one that interests me a lot. Todd Stevens had glowing things to say about him. And he can get a lot done. Didn't win the starting job, but definitely in a pinch. They definitely trust him quite a bit.
How about this, Gavin? Bloomington now leads Normal West 31-27 with 3:39 in the third quarter. Again, you can head on over to clutchsportsisle.com or our YouTube channel to catch the end of a thrilling game down in the Twin Cities. As this one doesn't go for much.
22, Zeiser the carry for the Panthers.
Anson Zeiser on the carry, and Emmendorfer is under center. Last two drives, offensively and defensively, Pekin still had their starters out there. We'll see if maybe they bring in kind of some of the backups now, and I believe they are.
A line change for the Panthers. They were playing Chelsea Dagger earlier over the PA. If any hockey fans out there, they know the very infamous goal song for the Chicago Blackhawks. So got to plug a couple hockey references, John.
There you go. We talked a little bit about hockey. We talked a bit about soccer in this one. Run up the middle gains about 4 as Connor Hurd on the carry for the Panthers. He had a few carries last week. We talked briefly a little about golf earlier. Gavin, I don't know if you saw Bloomington's Brandon Holtz, U.S. Mid-Amateur Champion, just yesterday won a tournament in Arizona, and now he will be playing in the U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills next year, as well as a likely invitation, direct quote from the USGA, in the Masters. So Central Illinois will have a presence in some of the biggest golf tournaments.
Yeah, that's been kind of a common theme. I mean, what a fantastic golf community we have around here. Every one of these cities has great courses.
Reminds us that we need to get out and hit the course sometime too, Gavin.
We definitely do. You know,
it's tough during football season.
It definitely is, but hey, this weather's really holding on.
Yeah.
It's treated us pretty nice, so we ought to take advantage of it and find a time to get out and hit the links.
So more substitutions coming on for Washington. Charlie Anthony, Ian Merrick coming on. Dane Gennart and Anson Zeiser coming off here on this play. It's a 4th and 1. See if Pekin can get a stop, get the ball back here with under 6 to play. It's a handoff, and it's a first down for the Panthers, and still up on his feet.
Wow.
What a run. This is Ian Merrick, still going inside the 30. That's one that he'll remember tonight. He'll be telling his friends about that. Said, hey, you see that on CIProud.com.
Yeah, that one's going to be coming around the lunchroom on Monday. He broke several tackles, and kind of reminiscent of a run from a Potters player last week. The name slips my mind right now.
Isaac Davis?
I believe it was.
Their quarterback.
Yeah, Morton Potters, Isaac Davis had a big, multiple tackle-breaking run. Ended up being featured tonight on WMBD kickoff at 5:30, but reminiscent of that, and got to be proud of it.
Big one there for Merrick. He'll get a breather. Chance for someone else to make an impact here. So now Connor Hurd back in the backfield. Haven't seen Emmendorfer throw the ball yet. I'd be curious to see him maybe just kind of throw one. We had a extracurricular flag on the Dragons, so again, bit of frustration there. And again, Gavin, Dragon to your 3rd straight loss. Again, it definitely has set it in, I'm sure, for the Dragons. But again, it's all about just picking yourself back up and giving what Doug Nutter and their players call a championship effort. And it's got to hit the reset button when they wake up tomorrow and get right back to it.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like, they've done a lot of really good things over the last couple weeks, and it just has not come to fruition. You were toe-to-toe with Dunlap. I mean, throwing blows back and forth. And you feel like, the result tonight definitely shouldn't have happened. So definitely I expect them to play with a bit of a chip on their shoulder. And if you see Pekin win a big game down the stretch, don't be surprised whatsoever. They still have a couple of chances at redemption.
Wholeheartedly agree, as here's Hurd on the carry. Wrapped up in a nice tackle there by Mason Waller from Pekin, a junior.
Gets a gain of 1 on the play. 2nd and 9, Washington.
And Gavin, looking ahead to next week, a lot of good games going on. I know some that we have our eye on. Normal West, Peoria High going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Also, Morton, again, Pekin is also going to be a good one. Again, stay tuned to our social media channels, Clutch Sports Media on Facebook and Instagram, Clutch Sports IL on Twitter. And we some of the first to know where we're going next week for our broadcast coverage. So we'll be sure to have some good games coming up.
Talk about Normal West Peoria High. That's been some of my favorite matchups to watch. Those two schools always produce a really fun time.
They certainly do. We've seen some years where Peoria High has looked unstoppable only to run into the West. We've seen years where we expect a close matchup and Peoria High runs away from it. Again, Lions, last time we checked, were up very big on Manual. And it's a bounce-back game for Peoria High. They played on Saturday last week against Morris, 4A number 3. Peoria High was 5A number 3. And they lost on a touchdown in the final minute of that one. So a tough way to lose for the Lions, but they're going to roll right back.
Yeah, you know that sour taste. They want to get that out as soon as possible. So no better time than week 4. Put up a bunch of points on the scoreboard. That's their favorite thing to do is score. The Lions are pretty much synonymous with offense, kind of like Washington's been synonymous with defense.
Well, hats off, though, to Washington's offense. This is the highest point total they've put up all year, and it has been growing each week. They scored 12 against Niles Notre Dame week 1, 21 against Triad week 2, 24 against Metamora last week, and 34 here tonight against Pekin. So it's an offense that is really starting to find their footing, and that's a dangerous sign when you couple it with this defense that was scoreless for 11 and about half quarters until Ty Jackson scampered 73 yards in for Pekin.
And they're just methodically slowly moving the ball down the field, but they'll turn it over on downs here.
Good tackle there from Daw. Brought down Hurd. So Pekin will come back out with 2:20 to play. We'll look at some other final scores around the area. Hayworth over Tremont 24-13. Pontiac downs IVC 28-7. EPG has blown it open against Gibson City. Melvin Sibley, Gavin, that one 52-14. That is a win that Titans might be in the 2A state title conversation. Wow. I don't say that with hyperbole. That is a huge win against the number 4 ranked team in Class 1A.
I like what they got going on over there. You know, we've seen some of the big games they've already pulled off this season, and once again, showing up under the bright lights. I think that if you weren't noticing them already, it's time to start looking their direction.
I want to see if we can maybe catch up with the Titans one of these weeks for our broadcast.
I'd love to.
Got some big games coming up, and a big tackle. Number 57, Braden Brown on the tackle, bringing down Daw. The reserves again fired up for their chance to hear their name called on Friday night. U-High a big win over Lincoln, 47-0. Peoria High beats Manual 76-6. Gavin, they put up I think over 80 last year against the Rams and do it nearly again this year.
You talk about in the Normal West game. Wow. They put up a big number against Normal West a couple of years back. I believe it was almost 100 points a few years ago.
They did. Oh, and look at that push from – they almost pushed Dahl back through the end zone there. Final score in our other game, Gavin. For those of you still sticking around, maybe are coming back from that other game, Bloomington beats Normal West 31-27. That is a absolutely massive win for Bloomington. They're now 4-0 on the year, and a lot of teams thought they were going to fall off. They've only gotten better after losing a huge senior class, so hats off to the Purple Raiders.
Yeah, their games, I mean, have been a coin flip. You know, really could go either way, and they are just coming out with these close victories time and time again. Is another big pass for Pekin.
A big hit on a nice throw and catch. That was caught by Isaac Filarski. Taking a big hit there, and quarterback now for the Dragons is Jaden Daw. So we've seen Daw at running back, saw a bit of him at wide receiver last week. Now he's at quarterback. Multi-positional player here for the Dragons, who are going to fall to 1-3 on the year, 0-2 in Mid-Illini play. And Washington will move to 3-1 and 2-0 in Mid-Illini play. So Gavin, we'll see if we can pull up. Dunlap did beat Limestone, so Dunlap will still briefly, narrowly have first place. They're 2-0, 4-0 overall. East Peoria don't have a score on their game, but if East Peoria wins, they'll also be tied for first with Dunlap. Washington, though, just right behind them.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight race either way. We knew it would be. I mean, we're not going to know anything for sure until really probably, again, week 8 or 9. So you got to stay tuned with us the whole season, see how it plays out.
And there's the final tackle of this one. Washington wins a statement game here at home against Babcock Field. 21 in a row now for the Panthers in the Mid-Illini as they win it 34-7 over the Dragons. Right back after this to wrap things up in our WMBD Game of the Week.
At Ham's Furniture, we have your comfortable, affordable recliners, mattresses, and more. And we offer free local delivery.
Hi, I'm Russ at Ham's Furniture, inviting you to stop in and see what's new today.
Ham's Furniture at 347 Court Street in downtown Pekin.
Pride runs deep in Central Illinois, and now it's time to crown the ultimate high school mascot. 36 schools, one champion. The CI Proud Mascot Bracket is here, sponsored by Peoria Production Solutions. Who's got your vote?
After 48 minutes of hitting, hooting, hollering, and all sorts of fun, pleasantries are exchanged in Washington. A big winner tonight here at home, 34-7. Gavin, real quick, who's your pick of unofficial Cliff Sports Media MVP of tonight's game for the Panthers?
Man, there's so many players I could go with. You know what? I'm going to go a little bit unorthodox here. I'm just going to give it to all 11 starters on the Washington defense. They had a tough task. They had a lot of playmakers on this Pekin side to stop, and they were up to the task. They forced multiple turnovers, game-changing plays on the defense side of the ball. And while their scoreless streak comes to an end, or at least holding opponents scoreless, they still put up a very low number and maintain single digits allowed per game on an average this season.
Yeah, it is hard to score against them, and they're going to be tough to face the rest of the season. Again, Pekin next week, they will host Morton, Washington, taking on Limestone next week as well. So real quick, the scoring plays: A.J. Jones, a 26-yard touchdown catch. Devin Miller had 2 field goals. Camden Visconti certainly had his name in the hat for player of the game. Interception led to a touchdown catch. Noah Garcia, 75-yard touchdown rush. Will Freeman got in the scoring column again. Ty Jackson, the lone scorer for the Pekin Dragons. So that will about wrap things up here from Babcock Field. Washington, a big winner tonight. A major thank you to all of you for tuning in, spending your Friday night with us when you can be doing so many things. We're glad you spent it with here. With our Clutch Sports Media crew, Caden Sexton, our director, Gabe Haloka, our producer, Nicholas Yosefi, and Magnus Roeder making his CSM debut behind the camera, doing a great job tonight. And for my fantastic broadcast partner, Gavin Russell, I'm Jonathan Michaels saying so long and good night. We'll see you next week here on CIProud.com for more high school football in Central Illinois. Washington lives up to their Dubtown moniker in a big one tonight. Have a great weekend, folks. The Mid-Illini Conference title, each of the last